Hanaki! Did you know that our souls are connected by fate? What do you know? I'm Yuno Hanaki, the one and only Oiran from Yelun. Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Welcome in, welcome in. Happy Sunday. Hope you're having a good day so far. Hope you are enjoying the last day of your weekend. If it's still the weekend for you, it might be a different day now. Who knows? Time zones are funky like that. But anyway, hi. Hello. It is me. I am here. We are going to continue to color planets and like space objects. Yippee! Yuno sleeping through the night, most unbelievable fanfic yet. Oi! The disrespect, the crisis. How dare you? Anyways. Oh, thank you for the stretch. Also, I did see the hydrate redeem at the beginning. I guess I got another one. I'll take 2 big sips. Good morning. Ew, it's doing the S word for you over there? Snow. I think we did get some sort of warning that we were going to get like a winter, like, snow rain thing, but I personally don't believe it. I'm just like, that sounds fake. Sounds fake to me. I don't believe in all that. Oh, sorry, it's an advisory. Whatever. That doesn't even mean anything. They're just like, it could be. Maybe. Vague gesture. Whatever. Anyhow. Let's go ahead and start a map. Ugh. Praying for snow this year? You want snow? If Onigashima gets any, you can have it. I don't really want that much snow. Well, okay. I want snow for the Christmas season, and then I don't want any more snow. So if you want the snow then, you can take it from me after Christmas. Because I do not like snow. And I do not want there to be too much of it. I get tired of snow immediately once Christmas is over. You know, shoveling our driveway. You're funny if you think I shovel. I really don't. I have shoveled my driveway before. It is not an enjoyable experience. Since I don't have a car, it really is just like a big expanse of pavement that just kind of exists to denote where the box is. I enjoy it? You want to come do mine then? The fuck? Because I don't enjoy the act at all. I hate snow. I hate cold. Makes me miserable. Stop spamming! I swear to God, I have to warn you about this every time you're in my chat. Either behave or don't come back. Please. Thank you. Stay on topic or palish. You get the stick. Break out the not a flamethrower for that? True. What if you find a glacier when you're walking out in the snow one day? Well, that would be a very lucky, fortuitous encounter. And I would take care of her as best as I could. Bless me. But I still wouldn't enjoy snow. I would probably figure out if I could get animal control to take her to a cold place that is better than my area. Thank you for the bless yous. Cold is the lesser of two evils. I'd rather take that over the summer. I respectfully disagree, but I understand. I prefer summer. I think it's more fun to find things to do to cool off than it is to have to find things to warm you up. In my humblest of onion. Winter, I can always put more clothes or blankets on. Summer only has so much AC and that doesn't follow you. Yeah, I guess. Sounds great in theory. In practice, give winter because cooling off is an illusion. Well, yeah. We've established you run hot. We have established this. My body is sensitive to all the weather changes, so in summer, I run extra hot, and I am prone to getting heat sick. In winter, I get cold super easily, and then I am prone to getting a die from cold. So I'm miserable in either extreme. If we could just live in moderate temperatures for the rest of time, that would probably be peak for me. Baby go year round. Yes, goo goo gaga. Please, I am a delicate little flower. I cannot handle the weather. Weather in any extreme. NG. I forget what this is. I think this is another satellite. It'll probably make more sense later. Nice double entendre. True. Real and true. Might be a bit of a slow day today. I'm feeling the vibes are very low-key due to the weather being kind of like gray and gloomy outside. And then also I like just woke up from a nap a little bit ago. I'm working on waking up. I feel like I'm mostly okay, but I have like a slow start debuff. Slow start debuff may occur. Apollo cheese in advance. Like Reggie Gigas, that's why I worded it like that. I was thinking about Reggie Gigas when I said it. Pokemon brain rot is real and strong in this household, unfortunately. It's truly like one of the only things I can think about right now. There's like a handful of things I'm capable of thinking about at this time. Pokemon is like, I would say 90% of it. I cannot change this. Until a new fixation comes along, I cannot change my brain. Unfortunate, I know. So real for that, bestie. Thanks. What's the best way to wake up? Get scared. We can help. Boo. Whoa. Scary. Good evening, oh Hanaki. Good evening. Yuno's next arc switched to acquisition so she could play Kirby Air Riders. I will probably never be able to get a Switch 2 at the rate things are going until I can get a proper job with, like, steady, consistent income. That's gonna be a very distant dream. But I appreciate that wish for me. Unfortunately, I'm probably gonna have to miss out on Kirby Air Riders when it first launches. By the time I get to it, I feel like most people aren't gonna be playing it anymore. Which is unfortunate, but it's okay. You guys will still race me, right? That's all that matters. But onigiri on Meta Knight's head. I know, it's very cute, but like, I don't have the money for the system and the video game. I'm not made of dollars. I don't even have the money for like basic things right now. So I really can't budget for a Switch 2. I was planning to wait so much longer. It's their fault for deciding to release Kirby Air Riders so early. But, you know, they've also said that in their next plans, like, by next year, they're going to be pretty much entirely focused on the Switch 2. So, the Switch is not going to get as much extra life as I thought it was gonna. So my hand might be forced at a certain point. Which sucks for me, but it's okay. You'll get to enjoy it for yourself at that time. Why not with chat? Exactly. That's why I said if you guys can race me, that's all that matters. I don't need to care about anything else. Christmas fun for Yuno Switch 2. No, it's okay. I am broke, but I will persevere. Thankfully, there is still stuff releasing for Switch 1, and there's always Steam. Well, what I'm saying is Nintendo revealed that their plan is going to involve, like, pivoting almost entirely to the Switch 2 in 2026. Like, Switch is gonna get abandoned next year. Directly confirmed. So, it's not going to last as long as I thought. I thought we would get at least another year out of it, but it seems like they're planning to be done by the time winter quarter it is like in process. So egg on my face, I guess. That's okay. At work, so I will work. I will at work, so I will work. Sorry, I can't read. Lurk. Okay. Enjoy your lurking. Sad thing is, even if you wait years, I'd be shocked if there's a price drop, given recent history for consoles and accessories. Yeah. The main reason I'm waiting isn't so much for, like, a price drop. It's just to be in a more secure enough position to be willing to purchase a console and get use out of it. That's the main thing for me. The main thing that always convinces me to get a console, at least in the case of Nintendo consoles, is when Pokemon exclusives are there. So I guess whenever Poketopia releases, because Poketopia is a Switch 2 exclusive, I guess that will be what forces my hand. Assuming I'm in a secure enough situation by then. I'm quite stingy, so odds are, even if it does release, like, relatively soon, I'd probably still be like, well, I'm not financially stable enough, so I can't justify it. And that's okay. I'm not one of those people that, like, needs a game system in order to survive. Why is my audio glitching out so much today? I wonder if my headphones are gonna die soon. I apologize if it's coming through on stream. It's happening in my ears. Fine on our end? Okay, good. Maybe it is just my headphones then. Giving me a good old crackle-ackle. Aren't the Best of Fellows earbuds coming soon? Yes, but those are for mobile phones only. They're not compatible with the PC, unfortunately. Because they run off of an app. And the app is, like, only tied to smartphone. Also, they're earbuds. You don't want to stream with earbuds. When you're streaming and you have to monitor a bunch of different audio sources and things at once, it's way better to use over-the-ear headphones. Like, you can stream with earbuds in, but it's not ideal. You won't be able to hear things properly. And the earbuds are also more attenuated to music than they are to, like, other audio sources, so not the most useful for streaming. But they are actually already here. I just haven't opened them yet. Can't use it for most of Illa's ASMR. You can, actually. They're literally programmed to have them, like, talking in your ears and, like, serving as, like, the voice assistant for using the earbuds. And you can also, there's also, like, dialogue options so that you can hear them banter with Teuta, which is very cute. Or, like, flirt with her. There's also, like, options to hear them flirt with her, which I think is very cute and silly. My EM stares quietly in the distance. Like I said, you can. It's just not ideal. I'm also impressed by, like, the streamers and content creators who have setups where they don't need headphones at all. I feel like that would make me go crazy. And my neighbors would hate me. Ba, 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 ba. Hanaki, welcome in. It's weird to keep seeing the @ handles on the YouTube chat. Because I feel like I recognize people that come in, but then I look at the handle and I'm like, who are you? I feel like I'm hallucinating. Okay, there's 60 layers. I'm on layer 27. Noted. Lots of layers. But they're all basically the same style, so... me. I don't feel good, Miss Hanaki. Don't go towards the light. Don't go over there. I hate that handles, I know. @ handle, the reason why I changed to Twitch. It's fair. I really don't understand why they thought... I mean, okay, we've already discussed, like, why they made this decision. So in theory, I get it, but it's also just, like, so stupid. Especially to those of us who do stream on YouTube where we recognize people by the display names. They were like, just deal with it. I'd be on Twitch if I wasn't at work. It's okay. You're one of the examples of handles that I do recognize just because the name in the handle is similar to what your display name was. Just with some numbers. Just with some added numbers. And like other people did also try to make their handles close to what their previous names were. Their display names. It's the others where I'm like, who? Who is that? Wish mine was somewhat similar. Oh yeah, it's so different. Luckily your profile picture is recognizable. Meanwhile, me, who does not always recognize accounts by their profile picture, is just like, hold on, I've got this. No way you'd figure out who this is? I can't tell. Wait, hold on, sorry, I have a better answer. Nene Amano? In my YouTube chat? YouTube pointing at me like, see? We're trying to prevent impersonators. You're her Oshi? That's not true. Her Oshi is like almost definitely Isla. That's because Isla is everybody's Oshi. You may not realize it, but it's true. Is Nene Hamano the one from Digimon? Not like this. salt, another hydrate. Thank you. Isla was the first member of Kawaii, if I remember correctly. I do believe she was the first person to accept? Question mark? But I think in terms of, like, model assignments, her assignment didn't come until a bit later. I think. Don't quote me on that. But I do think she was the first person to accept the offer. The suspicious DM from Costa. I wonder if it's okay to say this now? We're, like, far enough out, because it's been, like, nearly a year since the company exploded, so I feel like maybe it's fine. I never got to meet Costa. Never got to meet him. Ironic because Isla was the last to debut. Well, assigning debut order is, like, different from when you join the company. Like, certain people accept before the others do. Like, I think technically with Hana Mizuki, I was the first one to join. Because I was, like, always signing up for, like, the earliest possible time slots for things. Because I'm the kind of girl who wants to get all my business done in the morning and then have the rest of the day to faff about. So I was doing a lot of my meetings, like, early. He's somewhere drinking boba in his Hawaiian shirt. He's up to something, I'm sure. Whatever he's up to, I hope he's vibing, I guess. But yeah, we never really got to meet him. He was already kind of more of a background guy by the time Hana Mizuki were, like, joining the Slack and interacting with everybody. According to Emoto, he's a NEET now. Oh, right! You guys do know about that. Yeah, he was literally advertising that he's, like, a professional NEET, on his socials, from what the other girls said. When it comes to debut order, I think it was the Angel, even when I always have the Moose in my head. No, Reina was definitely first, right? Reina was first on that day. I think it was Reina and then Nene, and then the second day was Charlotte and then Isla. Back in the days where they would split it up between 2 different days. I think their debuts were, like, also a little bit longer back then. But we were always told that ours had to be, like, 40 minutes. Reina was first? Yes, I said so. Reina, then Nene, then Charlotte, then Isla. I remember. Yeah. Yeah. What was I gonna say? I forgot. Anyway, the point of what I wanted to say, though, was, I never got the chance to meet Mr. Costa. So I only knew about him from, like, stories from the other girlies who did know him. And, like, occasionally from management, if they ever talked about him. He was kind of more of, like, a background advisory role by the time we were there. And then he kind of, like, peace sign faded out. Not long into it. How did it feel to debut first? I'd be nervous as heck. I volunteered to go first. If you'll remember, one of my pre-debut shorts was making fun of the fact that I had volunteered to go first, but I was still really nervous. I mean, it didn't really bother me. I wanted to set the bar for, like, the overall, like, professionalism of Hana Mizuki. Like, I wanted to show that we were, like, accomplished as streamers and that we were, like, we had our shit together. I was mostly nervous because I was worried that I was not going to appeal to a lot of people. I was so nervous it made my voice squeaky. I had to have tiny little baby voice because I was nervous. But I did my best. And I think I did an okay job. But no, I prefer doing things first because, like, during those days, it's, like, a lot easier to go first and, like, set the bar, and then the way I felt, anyway, was that, Ran-chan and Kaya were going to be able to, like, not necessarily hard carry, but in the sense of, like, they would be able to elevate the bar even higher. So if you start with me, who I consider to be a low, then you go to Ran, who's also really accomplished, and then you go to Kaya, who, like, had the original song. It made sense to have Kaya be the one to go last because she had an original song. If the bar was set with her having an original and then the two of us only had covers, I think that might have made people feel, like, sus. So we kind of agreed that Kaya had to be last. So then it was just a matter of whether it was me or Ran-chan who went first. And I was like, I can do it. I was nervous that I wouldn't appeal to many people as funny when I think that I got back into watching Kawaii back then because of your debut. Because of me? I didn't know that. Wait. It was because of me? That's shocking. I didn't know this information. I heard there was a 5th member way at the beginning who was a dragon, but they left before the American advertising that made Kawaii known. No? I don't believe so. At the very least, I don't know anything about that. I swear if that's an elaborate Dragon D's joke. I don't think so. No, I don't think I've ever heard about that. Because as far as I know, I thought the intention was always to make Kawaii be pandering to the West. Not necessarily America. It just kind of turned out that way. There's that really weird guy who claimed to bring back production Kawaii. That shit was so funny still. Like, when that got shared in our group chat, we were all just like, oh, are we suddenly employed again? Why haven't we heard about this? First I've heard it. It was so funny. His account doesn't even have any reach. He just randomly posted that he was going to be bringing it back. And we were like, huh? I don't know if I still have the tweet. It was like a while ago now, but it was so funny. Elf apparently. Oh, you're talking about Hana? Yes, Hana was the 5th member. She was not a dragon though. Also, it's not that she joined, like, way back. She was part of the original... She was part of Gen 1. But she did leave before Gen 1 became Aonia, if that's what you're implying. Which you're allowed to do. In the end, it is a job, and if you are not satisfied with how things are going, you can leave. But yeah, she was part of Gen 1, but she left before Gen 1 became Aonia. And before Gen 2 became Novamore. Never met the Kickstarter goal, I guess. He didn't have a Kickstarter for it either. He just was specifically like, production kawaii is confirmed to be coming back. Because this guy, referring to himself in third person, is going to make it happen. And then he just didn't do anything. Like, he just randomly tweeted that. And then every other tweet he made was about, like, dumb shit he was doing in Roblox or whatever. It's just very funny to me. Didn't know elves now count as dragons. I mean, I guess it was just the thought of, like, the ears, maybe. But yeah, no, she was an elf. She was only around for nearly 3 months. I don't remember how long she was around personally, but... yeah, she left at a point, graduated, moved on, as people are allowed to do. But no, as far as I know, kawaii has always been aiming to, like, appeal to the West. I don't think there was ever a time they were trying to pander more to Japan. Well, they started, like, considering pandering more to, like, other, Asian countries, like, near the end. Like, they were trying to figure out if they could, like, expand to, like, other areas, do more stuff like that. But as you guys know, not much really came of it, and then it exploded, so... well, it was wishful thinking. Sometimes you come up with ideas too little too late. Speaking of the Kickstarter, did Yuno make a pledge? I did not. I don't think. But all I did was, like, watch as much Isla-sama stuff as I could. I did not make a proper pledge. Half elf, everyone in Gen 1 was half something, half angel, half demon, half elf, half vampire, half princess. No, she's full princess. I will not have you disrespecting my princess in my chat. How dare you? Funny thing, production kawaii is still cool. Even if production kawaii no longer is, I don't need it to come back because I still love everyone all the same. That is one of the perks, huh? It's nice that, like, pretty much everybody has stuck around, is still making stuff. Even if it's to a lesser extent than they were before, at least they're still making things. They're still putting in the creative energy. Some people even doubled down and started making more. Like the fact that Hiyori was able to go full-time. Heck yeah. Half human, half princess, 100% neat. Stop. She is a princess, period. Full stop. Iori's hella cool. I love that she's a big Luna fan too. Yeah, Luna is one of my favorite Vocaloid producers too. I kind of envy that she's able to get those big projects together to cover their songs. That was a dream I'd always had too. But she's got that market cornered. Love that for her though. Her voice is always so pretty. A lovely treat. PK still exists just without the official branding in my eyes. I don't know if I agree with that sentiment, but you're allowed to feel that way if you want, I guess. I think it's okay to acknowledge that production kawaii is dead. And it's just like survived by a bunch of different independent talents. I feel like saying it still exists implies that there's still some sort of like unifying factor there. But like, that's not necessarily true. I don't know how exactly to word what I mean, but I don't fully agree with the sentiment is all. I like that the different groups for the most part have stuck together. Yeah, to some extent or another, the groups have tried to stick together as groups. But like, that means that they are still technically separate from kawaii. Like, there isn't like that unifying banner anymore. She made the same mistake you made. She made full-time wolf bard a dono goal. I never made going full-time a dono goal. I basically considered myself full-time from the beginning because I wasn't employed doing anything else. So like, by all accounts, I was technically full-time. I had a goal of trying to become full-time. And management was always trying to like get me to achieve that based on set metrics. But like, I always considered myself full-time because I was not doing anything else. And I was in a situation where it was a lot easier for me to like survive off of what I was making at kawaii. Now I'm not. Now I'm not, so I can't really call myself full-time anymore. And then, you know, something, now that my stream frequency has gone down, it's not full-time hours, whatever. Arbitrary assignment based on perceived work hours. Whatever. Mistake of underestimation. She was saying the whole time that the goal was there as a meme, never challenged the collective blob. I mean, I kind of had that thought too. When I saw it on there, I was like, I feel like people are going to try and do it. Not just because it's a meme, but also because people like her. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but the Kawus are like very, very loyal. They are very, very loyal to Miss Hiyori Mokami. They are ride or die. So if there was any sort of chance that they could get access to her on a quote-unquote full-time basis by helping her feel comfortable enough to focus on them full-time, they would do it in a heartbeat. So for me, it was not so much, oh, they're gonna get that because they're memeing. It was, they're going to get it because they love her. And they want more of her. So of course they're going to do it. That's how I always looked at it anyway. And they have the means, that too. They do have the means also. I see Yuno is in a Javert mood. I was trying to think of something to use for my title. And I was like, stars. And then I remembered the line from the song. So I was like, yeah, I'll make a Javert reference. Why not? My favorite song, thanks for using it. It is very pretty. I haven't thought about Les Mis in a really long time, so when I had this sudden flash to the lyrics, I was like, whoa. That's crazy. My story about Les Mis is that I begged my family to take me to go see it, even though they thought musical movies were dumb. And I was very excited to go, though, because I thought it would be fun to watch. And I did end up liking it a lot. And then when I came home, one of the first things I did was... I think I actually did quote Stars as the song of choice. But at the time, I had a... You probably can't find it anymore. It's probably long since been deleted, so I'm not ashamed to admit this. I had a Hatoful Boyfriend roleplay blog for Sakuya, who is my favorite, if you remember from when I played the game with Isla-sama. I had a roleplay blog for him, and I had him, like... I wrote, like, a stupid in-character post with, like, the lyrics. That was, like, the first thing I did when I got home. So anyway, yeah, I like Les Mis. It's not bad. Haven't thought about lemons for a long time. True. I also haven't thought about lemons. What a good fruit. Color me unsurprised. This is where you pretend to be shocked. This is where you guys are like, what? Really? Wow, Yuno, you're so cultured. That's what you're supposed to be saying to me. Rude. I did it. I made Ringworld. It's up there, look. Ringworld. Wow, you know, you're so cultured. Yes, thank you. Yes, there you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You understand. You understand the assignment. Thank you. O'Neill Cylinder is next. I remember the 1 million goal Charlotte had for marriage to chat, divorce, and take the money. She's so funny. And then, of course, it wasn't met. But it was just so funny that it was there. She's truly one of the funniest people alive. I adore her. Why O'Neill Cylinder and not Cylinder O'Neill the Irish planet? Probably to avoid copyright? Question mark? Don't look at me, man. When I started this map last week, everyone was just like, oh, it's referencing a bunch of sci-fi things, and I don't understand a single sci-fi, so I was just like, okay, I take your word for it. I don't know what go on. Tausif T. Sorry, I can't read. Tausif T, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Her humor is very underappreciated. I've always said this. You have to be, at a certain level of sophistication to understand the humor of the Charlotte Suzu channel. I love her so much. I've said this, but Isla and Charlotte were the two kawaii talents that I primarily watched before joining kawaii. I watched, like, bits and pieces of everybody else, but it was mostly those two, because they tended to stream at a time that was good for me to watch. And then I would occasionally watch Reina, and then on the early mornings when I was taking care of Oni Mama, I would be watching Miss Lua. Those were the girlies I watched the most. I started watching more when I could, though. Man. Yeah. Man, indeed. I miss her too. We have a very Commonwealth crowd here now. So many. Yeah. It happens. Flew the coop, flew the coop. Flew to brighter horizons, brighter pastures, I don't know. But it is okay. She checks in with us every now and again, and she's doing well. Miss her, but glad she's doing what makes her happier. True enough. I am also glad that she is happy and doing well. In the end, that is all one can wish for. I should maybe start doing this style of rotate. Maybe not yet, though. Maybe once the parts start converging. The sub sandwich has a ton of water in it. They put on too much lettuce. Now all the water is there. I mean, look at all this green shit. Way too much lettuce for a sandwich. Flew the Coop is making me laugh. A bunch of chickens overrunning the presidential palace. Flew the Coop. Off they go. Even more green? You're crazy. You know, it's the only green I need. I'm purple! One isn't real. Well, she is, but also she's not. One sec, wasn't Yuno always orange? I think I've mentioned this before, but when we were first discussing what we were going to make our member colors be, I was actually debating choosing orange, but then I realized that if I chose orange, I would just be called a carrot for the rest of my life. Which is a shame, because I do really love the color orange. But I was not meant to be an orange girl, not with how fucking green my model was. My merch would have been so carrot-coated. We would knit. No, we totally would. I've been saying this. I think that's exactly what I said to the other girls in Hanamizuki, too. I was like, I mean, I would consider, but I think the problem with that is that everyone would call me a fucking carrot forever. And then Kaya was like, Lamau, 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 Lamau. Because that's what she does. But then I decided purple would be better. I thought about a darker purple at first, but then I realized that that would kind of blend in too much with like the purple accents that were already on my model. So that's why I chose light purple. Oh god, it's got wings and shit. Wing type structures. I've been in this place before. Deja vu. Carrot until about September 24th, then you are pumpkin, November 25th, peas and carrots, then back to carrot. I'm glad that there would be a rotation of vegetable coding that you would assign me in the universe where Yuno Hanaki's image color was orange. However, this also means that if you guys were still calling my ass green, 2.0 would have been orange. Imagine a universe where I was constantly talking about how I was finally gonna go orange. You believe it? Doesn't sound real, does it? What a weird parallel universe that is. If you were orange, you would be Zinnia, IMO. Zinnia would have been such a pretty name. Honestly. That would have been the rebrand. I would have been like, bye, I'm no longer Yuno Hanaki. Think of the fan art if you played a DBZ game. I love how you're like, you know, you should consider playing Dragon Ball Z. Imagine the fan art of you being orange. Looks at my hands. I don't know literally anything about DBZ. I've seen maybe one episode in all of my life. I don't even remember what episode it was. We call Yuno orange instead. The citrus is more superior to carrots and pumpkins. I don't like oranges as a fruit, though. I love the color, but I don't really like the fruit. That said, I also don't really like carrots, so... I'm kind of screwed either way, I fear. Pumpkin, though. Pumpkin I can tolerate. I would be your pumpkin pie oni. Your pumpkin spicy oiron. Or something. Beat me to the punch. I know how I'd be around these parts. Up, 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 up. These layers are so unfortunate. Orange Girl should be in a roadmap for Rainbow Buno. Yes. We already kind of have an idea of what we would want to do for Orange. By we, I mean I have discussed this with chat before when we were talking about the Yunos of the Rainbow. Orange would probably be the Gyaru style model. Gyaru vibes. Probably. Pumpkin spice year round. I'm now interested in this alternate timeline. And like honestly, the warm colors probably would have been good to match with the rest of Hanamizuki. But unfortunately, the other thing about like the autumn coating is that Kaya kind of had that on lock with everything that she did with the Kaya branding back then. Because she had all the maple leaves and such. She went hard on the like autumn aesthetique. I feel like I've told you guys this already, but we did plan to be like more seasonally coded. When we were thinking about like unit names, we were first thinking about something that could represent the seasons, but because there are only 3 of us, there would be a season that was left out. So naming ourselves after something that was like meant to be like a reference to the 4 seasons was kind of like, well, we're missing one. Can you even voice act like a Gyaru that sounds like an opposite day bit for Yuno? I played a Gyaru for my audition. When I was playing Purple Girl, the audition girl, I made her a Gyaru. Which is something that Kaya also did. We found out later that we both made her a Gyaru, which is funny. But no, I auditioned as a Gyaru. Or well, at the very least, I auditioned as like someone that was like more trendy and like had more of a character to her. And I played Nikke. I played Nikke and I had her gush over the girls' fashion. Legendary Purple Girl would be the 4th season. That would mean Purple Girl would have to be winter. Because we claimed all the other seasons between the 3 of us. Ranchan was going to be spring. I was going to be summer. Kaya was going to be autumn. And then we didn't have someone for winter because none of us wanted to be winter. I know my birthday's in winter, but bellflowers are a summer flower. Winter eggplant? Yeah, I guess. So she would have been named like Nasuchan? Or something? Sure. Yuno went for winter with Ice Woman. There's always a chance to evolve a split personality to get a winter-styled girl. It's okay, Yuno. Just develop an alter ego. As I'm just like, what? What? But yeah, we ended up going against the season idea and we decided to focus on flower names instead. When that guy brings back Kawaii, we will get the 4th girl. He's gonna bring back Kawaii, only cast someone to be Purple Girl, and then he's gonna be like, this is the only talent. Cause like, how the hell does he expect to bring back Kawaii if none of us are there? It's so funny. Like, who does he think he is? What kind of pull does he think he has with his, like, 10 followers? Makes me laugh so hard. Just the sheer, like, brazen confidence you have to be like, I'm going to bring it back. Me, personally. As we're all just like, who? Yuno should have been a Yuki Onna. Look. They were not willing to change my color palette. In an ideal world, I probably would have tried to, like, adjust my branding to fit a color palette, A, that I liked more, B, that like, made it so that I could have had a little bit more... I don't want to say creative leniency, because it's not like I didn't have creative leniency. But I would have wanted to change my colors around so that I could have done more fun stuff. And one of the options probably would have been something more wintry, so that I could go more Yuki Onna coded. Snowny. Is that not the best thing ever? I could have been a Snowny, parentheses, Snow Oni. But they did not want me to take away the green at all. I was not allowed to ask for a different color palette. I literally was like, how much can I change? And they were like, very little. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm green now. We would control snowballs and pelt you with them. Yes, but we would always have fun with the snowball fights, right? Around was too yab, no way a Yuki Onna passes all of the sus with added finality. No, I think they probably would have been more okay with a Yuki Onna, because it's not really sus, it's just like a heartbroken woman. Oiran, definitely too sus, but with a Yuki Onna, it's just like a heartbroken woman who's been cast out and like left to die in the snow. Which, like, the only thing about it is they probably would have said that's not very kawaii. They probably would have just asked me to make it cuter. Or, like, make it more wholesome. Because they wouldn't want it to be too depressing. Yuno was green with envy then? I wouldn't say envy. Crab's 6-foot snowman. You can't throw a snowman in a snowball fight. That's not how that works. It's not a snowman fight. Ref, he's making an illegal play. Depending on the legend, Yukionas can be kawaii. Yeah, that's what I mean. They probably would have just asked me to make it like cuter and more wholesome, so that it's not like mega depressing. Like some of the girls did have like the kind of depressing lore, but I think they would have wanted to try a little bit more to make it sound like cute. Half human / half Yukiona with ice abilities. I don't know if I would have gone half. I think I would have just committed to being a Yukiona, but ice abilities would have probably been an option, yeah. Lady who liked the snow so much she became unwillingly and makes people happy with snowfall. No, I think it was going to be like, well, if I were to do it, like if I were to pitch the idea for a VTuber concept, I would say something like, maybe she was like attached to somebody, or like maybe it's like a more ambiguous somebody than like a lover, but it's just somebody that she like really cared about, but then they got lost in a snowstorm, as in like the person she was attached to. She tried to run out to like search for them because she's always been pretty good in the cold, and was like doing her best to like see in the snow. But then, as Yukiona do, she turns into a Yukiona because she could never find that person, and for like a little while she thinks that she's been abandoned, but then her mascot, which is whatever little snow creature, ends up being like the spirit of that person that she lost, and so she has like a little mascot. I was immediately thinking of a snow bunny, but I feel like that's a bit too cliche. But like some sort of like creature made out of snow. And so she's got like a little mascot character that she always keeps with her. And then they just, they spend all of their time in the snow to make sure that other people don't end up lost like they did. And then I guess, because management cares a lot about, like, well, why are you a VTuber then? She's a VTuber, so, she can make people's hearts warmer. So that way, should they ever venture out into the dark, cold loneliness, they will be able to carry the warmth that she gave them with them, so that they don't, get lost. Thumbs up. That is probably the universe where I was asked to pitch a Yukiona character to a corpo. Thank you for listening. If you happen to know anybody who wants to be a VTuber and wants to steal that concept, sure. But that way it's not so much about like the romantic love, it's more about just like a deep connection with another person, and then wanting to share that like warmth of connecting with others through the internet so that other people can survive the long winter. Let's make Yuno a manager for a VTuber corporation. I would be really good at cooking up lore for a company and like helping the talents come up with like cool like lore projects and like character concepts and what have you. I don't know if I could be a manager. I would certainly try, but I don't know. Creative director Yuno Hanaki? Yes, exactly, you get it. I would totally be a creative director in a freaking heartbeat. Production Kakoi. Production Kakoi would be a group of boys, so we would have to make our Yukiona a boy. So... if you want that, that's what you'd have to brace for. Production Kawaii. We already had an event that was themed around being kawaii. That technically cannot become a company name. Cute in theory, but it's already been used. When's Production Kakui holding auditions? 2028. You have time. Bet, drop the Kickstarter link. I like how you guys are just preconditioned to assume that all of these kinds of projects need a Kickstarter. You've been through so much, haven't you? You need a Kickstarter first to finance the Kickstarter campaign. Venture capital is busy with AI, so we need to kickstart. True. Didn't get the opportunity to do the first Kickstarter? Really? That surprises me. I always thought that you were a longer term fan. We believe in Kickstarter supremacy. I don't know. I don't personally think. I mean, okay. I have supported a lot of small projects via Kickstarter, and like promoted Kickstarter links for games that I've promoted. I don't think Kickstarter is supreme, however. I just know that it is one of the easier ways for smaller projects to get funding. And they also kind of help in terms of like award distribution in a way. So they're useful in that regard too, but I don't know. I only came in during year 2. I joined in just after it ended. Kickstarter was pretty early in the Kawaii full timeline? I suppose so. I suppose that's fair. Get a load of this satellite. Wowie zowie. Hardly knew what a VTuber was back then. The old days. Now you know so much about VTubing that you're probably just like, man, I dedicated a lot of my time to this shit. Hive Swap Act 3 will surely come out soon. My pledge was totally worth it. Yeah, there are sadly so many things on Kickstarter that ended up being scams. There was like that big one that was being reported on kind of recently. The Fluff Fest? Fluff Nest? Fluff something? It was like a super cute looking cozy game, but they like really fumbled the bag hard with their overall development and production. And so they basically scammed people, and I think it was like over $1 million total across all the pledges. Freaking yikes, I'm gonna buy. Mimi kickstarted that? Yeah. I read a bit about that one. I watched a couple videos on it. That had been a game that I had been considering playing, so I was kind of like genuinely shocked when it turned out to be a low-key scam. That's rough. But yeah, they like literally ran off in the end, I think. It was Mimi, yeah. I don't have the means to contribute to Kickstarters a lot of the time. I don't think I've ever properly donated to one. I've shared links for them to support them, but I've never personally donated. Whether that's a blessing or a curse, who's to say? One of my dream levels of financial stability is to be able to contribute to indie projects like that, though. To have the means to donate to like indie projects, also to donate to more charities. Someday. Last layer. Whoopee! At least they tried to make it kinda. They had like really bad attempts at trying to make it, and then they dipped. So like, they definitely tried. But also, I don't think they tried at all. I haven't pledged to many Kickstarters, but I did pledge once to a game. Thankfully, the results didn't disappoint. That's good. How are we supposed to eat this sub? It has convenient handles. You see these long parts? Handle. So you grip it like it's a handlebar, and then you just put your face into where the hole is. Do you see where the hole is? You go over there. And then you eat the sub. What was the star? Your did it. Yes, your did it. I found Kawaii back in June of 21. Had to go through my sub-history for that one. Yeah, no problem. 2021, huh? Crazy. I mean, they debuted in April 2021, no? Aonya, I mean? So you were there pretty early. Early starter. Turn the wheel to squeeze sub directly out of tube into mouth. That's also an option. You gotta get the sub out of the sub tube. 1 second. Okay. Just confirming some, plans for dinner with Hitomi. Apocalypse? Wow. I'm gonna cause the end of the space. Apocalypse! Whoa. How big is this? Okay. Currently not very big. Love that for me. Black hole timeline. I'm entering the black hole timeline. It's mint chocolate! Hey guys, did you know that the inside of a black hole is mint chocolate colors? All you freaks that like mint chocolate, get in here. Get in here, you don't want to miss this. Freak here and ready. Scrapes off mint part. Yum. Gets sucked into the abyss. Yeah, if I was going to eat this, I'd have to scrape off the mint too. Am I gonna eat the apocalypse and save everyone? Yes. Lynn is a freak confirmed. I've always known. I've been new. That's my wife. My wife is allowed to be a freak because that means more mint chocolate for her. And not for I. Not for am. Your anti-mint flavor, I see how it is. I don't like it. It's not really appealing to me. I don't like it. I've tried. Like, I've genuinely tried it. I'm not one of those people that was just like, ugh, it's toothpaste tasting. I did genuinely try it. I just don't... It just makes my mouth feel weird. It's not an allergic reaction or anything. It's just when I eat something that's like mint and chocolate, there's something about the combination that my mouth just doesn't like. And so it's like, bleh, 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 bleh. Like it leaves like a weird film, I guess. Not like an actual film, but it just feels like there's an aftertaste that's kind of blech, kind of yuck, you know? So I don't like it. It's totally the Taco Bell Baja Blast pie. Is that a real thing? Or are people just, like, shitposting about it on the internet? Please? Is it real? I haven't bothered to look. It is? Oh god, that's crazy. It's good? You've had it? What was your earnest review? I'm not really like a Baja Blast liker because I don't really care for Mountain Dew in general, but you guys know this. I don't really drink soda. So like, I'm not really familiar with how it would even end up tasting. Not chocolate mint out of 10. Cool. I guess that's a good thing. Maybe it's like a cilantro thing where you just taste mint differently. That would be interesting to discover about myself. I do have the gene that makes cilantro taste like soap, so maybe it's adjacent. And so it also makes mint have like a weird aftertaste, but that doesn't make sense because I got the cilantro soap gene from Onimama, but Onimama also has, well, but Onimama loves Thin Mints is what I was trying to get to. I don't know why my brain farted there for a second. But she like loved Thin Mints. And, like, really liked the mint chocolate combination. She would, like, snack on Andes mints for fun. And I was always like, why? It's so gross. So I don't know if it's related to the cilantro gene. That would be fascinating if there's some sort of proof that they are in some way related. Maybe Onimama did feel it whenever she ate the mint chocolate, but she just enjoyed that weird aftertaste somehow. Solid 8 out of 10? Noted. I haven't gotten Taco Bell in a hot minute. I can imagine some people have the soap taste gene, but like the taste regardless. That's true. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there were actually more people than we know of that actually do have the, like, taste like soap gene, but they just think that that flavor is good, so they don't really realize it. It is not like that for me. The reason I know is because the one time in my life that I tried pho, the cilantro in it made me feel like I was drinking dishwater. And I said that out loud while we were still in the restaurant, which admittedly was not very nice of me. But I was like a teenager at the time, so I had less social awareness. But I was like, I don't want to continue to consume this because this tastes like dishwater. And then my friend literally like blew up at me because she thought I was being racist. And I was like, I don't know how to communicate to you that this just genuinely tastes like dishwater though. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to drink it, but I feel like I'm eating something I shouldn't. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be bad. I promise. So that was how I discovered it's like genuinely like a bad taste for me, at least. And I told Onimama about this afterwards, like when we came home from this outing, and I was like, Onimama, am I racist? I was like genuinely upset about this, and she was like, I never told you, but I do actually have this gene that makes cilantro taste like soap. And I think cilantro is something that they use in that soup. And I was like, oh. So I went to the group chat and I was like, hey, so apparently I have a gene that makes cilantro taste like soap, and that soup had a lot of cilantro in it, so that's what happened. My bad. I promise I won't say that out loud anymore. It's definitely not the fault of the restaurant. It's the fault of my mouth. It wasn't the restaurant's fault. I never thought it was, but for some reason I think everyone interpreted me saying that observation out loud was like me calling the dish like dog water, but I was not. It probably would have been so delicious if it wasn't for the fact that it had that much of that like soap leaf in it. Cursed soap leaf. I kind of wonder what you'll think of the taste of banh mi if they didn't include coriander in it. I think I would probably like banh mi if there was no coriander. But a lot of, like, restaurants are kind of meh about, like, making substitutions or, like, removing something or what have you. So, the same friend who was getting on my case for being rude about the pho, she worked for a Chinese restaurant for, like, most of our high school career, and she was always very adamant about how awful it is whenever people ask for a substitution or, like, a change in a dish, because she saw it from, like, the cook's perspective, and they didn't like that their, like, precious recipes were getting tainted by people making substitutions or changes, and she kind of just put it under this blanket of, like, people are not willing to try new foods because it is Asian food, I guess, for lack of a better term. And I was just like, I don't know if it's like that. Sometimes it is, but some people just genuinely cannot consume certain kinds of things, and I feel like you're better off being safe than sorry. Like, it reminds me of that era of when people would be like talking about how they have like they react badly to dairy, and so they would ask for like a substituted milk, and then the barista would be like, fuck you, and trying to substitute milk. All you pansy bitches who can't handle milk. I'm gonna put real milk in your latte and you're gonna drink it and you're gonna be fine. And then they literally like get sick and die. Well, not die, but do you know what I mean? Like, it just reminds me of that kind of like bad situation. That used to be like a big thing. Like, people used to be very like anti-substitution or adjustment because they thought it was just people being like picky or like too pansy, but you're always better off being safe than sorry with this stuff, in my opinion. Even if you think it's a bit of an absurd, like, allergy possibility or whatever, you're better off just being like, okay, and then doing it. There's a very famous Mexican chef that went nuclear about people asking for lime to add to his dishes because he thought it was disrespectful to his recipe. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's not that big of a deal clearly they still like the dish and they are ordering it, but they just want to make like a tweak that would make them happy. Even happier than if they didn't have the tweak. You get what I mean? Better off for business too. I was going to say, wouldn't you rather not have your restaurant get into trouble because you fed someone an allergen? But like that used to be such a big thing. I do have like vivid memories of that kind of stuff happening more. I think it happens less now, luckily. But it was like crazy for a long time there. All the people who would like bitch about all of the like extra substitutions and like additives and the subtractions and all of that stuff. They get so mad. But I really don't think it's that deep. It's just someone ordering something how they want. And yeah, maybe worst case scenario it is because they have an allergy, but I really think it doesn't hurt anyone to just accept like a change. But like going back to it, she had that mindset. I've told you guys this story before, but during our senior trip, when we went to New York, we stopped at a McDonald's on the way, and this was back before I didn't really like having toppings on my burgers for a long time. Like I would just eat them super plain. And I noticed that the burger that I got back had stuff on it, and I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. Because, like, I'm not allergic to anything. I just don't prefer, at the time, to have stuff on my burger. So I was like, oh, I ordered this plain, but the stuff is still on it. That kind of sucks. And then my friend, like, blew up at me because she was saying that, like, it can be really hard for restaurants to keep up with, like, all of the super specific demands that people have for their food, and you should be, like, much more patient. And, like, especially because we were a bigger group that came in, of course they were going to get things wrong about the order and, like, all of this stuff. And I was like, hey, whoa. You don't have to come at me so hot. I wasn't even planning to go up and ask and like complain or demand a refund or anything. I'm just saying it kind of sucked that they left the ketchup and the pickles on my burger, and I don't like ketchup and pickle. Like, I'm just a little guy, man. I'm just expressing my disappointment. I'm still gonna eat the food. I am in a lucky position where all I have to do is pick something off and then I'll live. But not everyone is. Where T.I. Thank you for the follow over on the Twitch side. Welcome in. But like, I really do think it was just because she was like so used to working in that Chinese restaurant and like listening to chefs complain about how hard it could be to remember substitutions and like replacements and stuff. And I do know that, like, there are also restaurants that just, like, refuse to do it. So you're better off just, like, trying to figure out if there's something on the menu that has, like, all safe ingredients or stuff that you can tolerate being on a dish or something that you can, like, pick out in your own time. Because otherwise they just won't listen. Vegetal milk anger moved over to gluten-free anger, I think. Oh, yeah, true. I think it originates in the customer changing the dish and then complaining about it, but also I think that is much rarer than someone just ordering how they want. But that's the thing, like, if you're just ordering what you want, I don't think that that's disrespectful because they're still wanting to enjoy the dish that you made. They just wanted to make, like, a change. I get it. For some people, like, cooking is their art form, and it can be seen as, like, a personal slight if someone wants to change it or, like, adjust it somehow. Because I know there's also some restaurants where they think it's disrespectful to add, like, too much extra sauce or to, like, I guess in the case of what we talked about with the Mexican restaurant, like, adding lime to, like, a recipe that's supposed to be, like, already quote-unquote perfect as is. But I don't know. I don't think it's that deep. If you insist on one food one way, you don't have a restaurant, you have a family recipe you're trying to monetize. True. That's the thing. I also think, like, innovation creates like new variations of recipes that can also be like just as marketable. But like, I don't know. I'm not a chef. I don't even like to cook. She's a bit less of a hard ass about this stuff now, probably because we are older. I think she was mostly like this, again, because of the environment that she was in, because she was working there for like the entirety of her high school career. So she got really close to all of the staff, and I think she just had a bit of a bias towards like how they felt about stuff. And so it made her get like really uptight with those things. Which is why she would then turn around and say that it was disrespectful of me to, like, express a complaint out loud. And again, at least in the cilantro situation, I do think I was kind of in the wrong. I probably shouldn't have said it, like, out loud in that way that I did. That might have seemed a bit rude. But that was just because I was making the actual observation because I didn't know I had the soap gene. And then with the burger, I thought that one was kind of uncalled for. I was just like, I'm not even planning to go up and complain. I know they're busy. I am fortunate enough that I can take a pickle off of my burger and I can deal with the ketchup or wipe it off on the wrapper if I'm really gonna be a baby about it. I'm lucky enough that it won't bother me, but what if I was somehow like allergic to pickles or reacted badly to ketchup and like tomato products? I don't know, man. Like, I didn't make a big stink out of it. I just expressed that I was disappointed that it came back not played. She hates me. Why do I hate you? Oh, right. Pickle. You say that every time I talk about my dislike of pickles. I mean, I'm getting a bit more used to the pickle flavor. I don't think I like the texture of actual pickles still, though. But I'm getting more used to, like, the taste of, like, the pickle juice, question mark? I can't have it in too strong of doses, though. Maybe someday I will go through a complete metamorphosis and I'll be able to eat pickles and like it. Not right now, though. Pickled radishes, yum? I've always just assumed I wouldn't like most pickled things. I have tried kimchi before, though. And that was pretty okay. I couldn't have too much of it. But I think I like it better fresh than, like, letting it get too aged. Just for me. I think I like the flavoring and, like, the taste of it when it's fresh more. Me when someone complains about the heat wave in summer. Man, I hate heat waves. Luckily, I do not hear Yuno enough in common life. Well, actually, that's not true. People say, you know, at the end of so many sentences. So I always feel like they're addressing me. I'm just like, who, me? But it's not really in, like, a negative context. It's usually just a making sure you're listening type of context. Which, for someone who doesn't have the best auditory processing, sometimes that is also a nightmare. Because then I'll be like, what? Because I genuinely thought they said my name, but it was just because they were expecting me to respond to something they said. And then I'll just be like, oh, oops, my B. Sorry, my B, sorry. I hate you know who. No. Well, if they have the who at the end, I'd be like, oh, who? Because I wouldn't realize. You know. Yeah. those are all of the times I hear my name. You know who? You know. It's such a nightmare. I remember when Kaya and I were starting to like chat more in like casual like work calls and stuff. Every time she would go to say, you know, she'd like make a face and she'd be like, ugh, because she'd realize she was saying my name and she hated it. She's like, you're gonna ruin this for me. I say, you know, all the time. And I was just like, eh. Sorry, that's just my name, bro. Rebrand to you, yes. Wasn't that something that Charlotte suggested at one point? Like, if I was going to have a male persona, it should be you, yes. You, yes. You know. Very true. What purpose is this game? This game is just a coloring game. You have colors here. You can like click and choose if you don't want to use a certain color at a certain time. I just go in numerical order because it's nicer for my brain. Certain blocks will light up with the number that is clicked. So like I'm clicking on 19. 19 is highlighted. You click it and it changes color. It colors it in. And you move to the next color when you run out of squares. It's like a color by number, but with voxels, which is a type of pixel kind of similar to how things are built in Minecraft. So they're like kind of Minecraft-esque shapes. And you color stuff. And you can like change the perspective like I'm doing right now. Yeah. Shouldn't it be me, yes? Well, I'm just going by what I remember. I think you, yes, is a better name. Jawbreaker after you microwave it. Jawbreaker if it had lava inside. The forbidden jawbreaker. Wasn't there art of you as a male persona in a cover video, and that's what Charlotte commented on as you? Yes. Yes, that was for Bride of Necro. Because all of the girls were like fangirling over my male persona. They were fangirling over Yukun in the Slack chat. And everyone was like, the girl in the video is me, by the way. They were like fighting for who was going to be the girl that I was dancing with. And then I think specifically the conversation started because Charlotte came into the group chat and asked if anybody knew if the girl in the video was supposed to reference someone. And that's why everyone was like, yeah, me. They were just like, yeah, it's me. Which is very funny. I thought that was very, very funny. Women love her. They like Yuku and they like the male persona very much. And I can't say I blame them, because it looks very pretty. Angon draws, like, really good, Bifonen art styles. Missed opportunity to have a dance with your Emoto. Well, considering the context of the song, I would never want that to happen to Charlotte Suzu. So I did not say it was her. I did actually answer, and I've said this in the after party stream I did for that cover too, but it's not meant to be any particular girl. I just when I was asked how the girl should look for the video, I just said that I like blondes, so make her blonde. That's all I said. I was like, I like blonde hair and green eyes. Do that if you want. And so they made someone like kind of blonde looking. Blonde, whitish hair. You can't see the eyes though, which is on purpose because it's supposed to be just a girl. She's not supposed to look like anyone specific. It's just based on my preference for blonde women. So it's Isla. Shut up! Why did two of you say that it's Isla? It's not. It doesn't look like Isla at all. Isla is like golden blonde. Stop this. We were all thinking it. I hate this place. Who else is blonde? I'm not simping for Isla. I'm not! It's not her! The classic yaoi couple is always blonde and dark hair after all. I've always said this. And I have always said this. It must be said. Anyways, but yeah, that's where it came from. You have that copium. I'm not simping. I do think she's really cool though. Your cool night is showing. Oh god, I need to put that away. Who else is blonde? Nano? Yeah. Nano is one of the ones who was like, it's literally me, by the way, because they're blonde. And I was like, it can be you if you want, baby girl. I think it was her, and then also Reina was like, it's me. I think it was mainly those two that were like, it's literally me. And then I remember that Hiyori also watched the cover and was like, it's me! I wish that were me! I think that's everybody. I always had it in my head that she's more white hair. I get it. It's like very platinum blonde. Which I do think is closer to the color that was chosen for the leading lady in Bride of Necro. But no, it was not intended to look like anybody. I can't believe this. They're calling me a simp. Yuno bemoans to her Isla plush and Isla standees and Isla 1-to-1 scale custom 3D print. Stop. Leave me alone. Mind your business. I can't be a simp. Isla-sama would find me cringe. I don't want her to find me cringe, so I'm normal. Is that how it works? Yes. If I decide I'm normal, that means I am. I don't know if you were aware, but that is how it works. Wait, how many layers are this one? Oh, not that many. But I guess it makes up for it because there's like a lot of colors per layer. Fair enough. Understandable. Okay. I can't be cringe. I won't like me is a poor defense to the allegations. What do you mean? I'm not cringe. I'm not a simp because if I were to be a simp, then Isla-sama would not like me. So it's important that I be normal because I value being her friend. I think that makes perfect sense. Earth broke. Funny Jawbreaker broke. There's goop inside there. 10 stream streak, my goodness. Nice streak. Yippee! Okay. Next one. Sorry. Very funny message I just read in my chat with Hitomi. I don't think she'd want me to share it, so I'm not gonna, but it's very funny. Oh god. That was pretty good. Anyway, Earth for real this time. It's not breaking anymore. No more broken Earth. Oh, goodbye. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good day. We will imagine. Earth! Secrets are no fun. Nah, it's something I don't think I can share because I don't think, well, actually, we have mentioned that she's older than me before. But apparently she was talking to a coworker today. I'm gonna try to keep this as vague as I can. But she mentioned her age to this coworker because the coworker didn't know. And apparently this girl was like, whoa! You grew up back then? Hold on, what was the exact quote? I have to look at this again. It's so funny. Whoa, you grew up back then? I'm so jealous. I love that nostalgic stuff. It made Hitomi like crumble into dust, and I laughed. That's so good.
An offering. Thank you so much.
But she was thanking me for not totally making fun of how old she is. I hear her hair's going gray. Josh Stoles, thank you for the $25 tip. I swear this BGM reminds me of Viewfinder. Money for Oni. Oh yeah, it does kind of sound like Viewfinder's piano tracks at times. I think Viewfinders were original though. These are, I'm pretty sure, like classical piano tracks. Because there's a song that I recognize in here from Limbo's Route in Bustafellows, and I know I don't remember the name of the track itself, but I know that it's meant to be like a classic song. And every time that song plays, I have to resist my urge to cry outright, just so you guys are aware. I'm very strong and brave. Very deliberately soothing, very true. When the youngins are surprised you remember the last millennium. Yeah. So that's what Hitomi experienced. I thought it was going to be something a lot sappier when I was reading it, so I was taken by surprise when I saw something that funny. But yeah, she was basically thanking me for not calling her old in like a noticeable way all the time. I make like one-off jokes about it, but I don't overdo it. Mostly because like I don't know if this is just because we are besties, but I kind of forget that she's older than me sometimes. Or, like, I specifically forget, like, by how much, unless we're, like, specifically talking about stuff from when we were growing up. Because then it differs greatly, and I'm like, whoa. Oh, right, I forgot. Never forget the time a kid was making a school project about Pokemon, and she was like, I don't really like Pokemon, I just like all the vintage stuff. Oh my god. I would die. First of all, fake fan. Second of all, vintage. I'm fossilizing. I'm turning into a rock. I can't, dude. Person A, remember when MySpace was around? Person B, what's MySpace? Well, to be fair, I feel like MySpace really only targeted, like, a certain demographic, because I like, never had a MySpace. I knew it existed, but I just did not care to make one. It, like, totally skipped me, because I was just like, whatever, it doesn't sound very appealing. So I think there might be more people that just genuinely do not know, even if they are from, like, the right age demographic. Because it just didn't pick up on their radar. That's how it was for me. Everyone knew Tom from MySpace. I skipped both MySpace and Facebook. I wish I skipped Facebook. Facebook was one of the ones I made, if only because my other friends all had one, so I felt compelled to make one. I wish I didn't have that in my digital footprint, though. I don't care for it. I didn't care for it then. I especially don't care for it anymore. It's, like, unbearable to be on there for longer than a millisecond. I literally hadn't touched my Facebook account in, like, literal years. The only reason I touched it was, like, when I had to update people about Onimama's passing. And then I dipped again, and I was like, I don't want to deal with this website. I only knew because some people made MySpaces where they made it easier to find video series. Huh. Fascinating. I mean, I guess if it's easier to aggregate links in that way. I mostly know people would use MySpace for, like, music curation, too. I don't know. Any conversations about renting movies from Blockbuster? Almost all my high school, but me had a MySpace. One of my classmates did a senior project on it. I remember Blockbuster. We were not really a Blockbuster household, though. We went occasionally, but there were, like, other video rental places that were more, like, local that Onimama tend to prefer because they were closer. They were closer than Blockbuster was. So we would just go there instead. But I do remember the era of renting movies. I also rented a lot of games for my GameCube at the video rental store. I loved hanging out in the game section because they had games that you could, like, play. And I would want to get my grubby little hands on the controller and play random games while I was looking around for games to rent. Rented the same movie at the local video center every weekend for 3-ish years. That's called a fixation. I think I had a movie that was like that too for me. I'm trying to remember what it was, though. It was probably something related to Pokemon, knowing me. But I know I had a thing that I rented all the time. Frick, I just don't remember. Anyway, my most commonly rented game was this Power Rangers Dino Force game. for the GameCube. I had to rent it multiple times because I wanted to make progress, but I kept getting stuck because it wasn't clear about where I needed to go. So I basically wasted all the times I rented it because I would always get stuck in the same spot. Oh, no, I remember. I think it was a Sonic cartoon that I rented all the time. Or wanted to rent all the time. There was like a Sonic VHS tape that I was always renting. Although I do not remember what it was about. But it was like old Sonic cartoon. That much I remember. VHS. Yeah, I know. Sorry. I'm dating myself really hard. When the video center was closing down, I bought the VHS from the owner. I still have it. Mine was We're Back, the dinosaur movie. Oh! I do have that movie. I know that's one of the VHSs that we have. Kind of scary. There's a hypnosis scene in it. Anyways. I'm not gonna say anything. 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 It's so creepy I didn't notice it all when I was a kid. Yeah, that's fair. No need to. I remember my grandpa made a VHS of the Tiny Toons movie the second day, American Tail, Evil Goes West, and Rover Dangerfield. Nice, nice, nice. We didn't make any VHS tapes. We didn't have any blank ones, or if we did, I didn't know where they were or how to make them. But we had like a portable tape rewinder that I loved using whenever I had to rewind a movie. I just liked listening to the sound of it whir. We should do a watch along on Twitch only Saturday since you can just play it. Oh, true. I mean, I don't know how Twitch would feel about me doing like a full movie watch along, even if it is possible to access it. I don't know how Twitch would feel about that. But I can definitely consider. But yeah, I remember that movie. It was definitely like way creepier than a child's brain would normally recognize it to be. But there were parts of it that gave me nightmares as a kid. So that's the main reason I remember it for being creepy. I did get nightmares. VHS emoji exists. Yeah, it sure does. Could you imagine a VTuber using that as one of their Oshi marks? Hag jokes would be non-stop. True. Based as hell. Could work for a retro gamer. True. Retro gamer. somebody who considers themselves like a media historian or like a media archivist. Could be cute. I'm just churning out ideas for VTubers. Need to keep some of these to myself, god dang. Lots of dark kids movies. Secret of Nim was pretty dark too. I mean, I think it's better. Like, kids can handle dark media more than people give them credit for. I think that, like, a lot of stories have become, like, quite simplified. I don't want to say dumbed down, because that's not necessarily true. But I think stories have become a lot simpler. Maybe the overall tone is trying to become more lighthearted. But, like, kids can handle dark shit. Sometimes they even prefer darker movies. Little Nemo had, like, a lot of scary parts, but that was one of the movies I kept at my, grandma's house because I liked watching it so much. Although, admittedly, I would basically enjoy most of the movie up until the scary stuff started happening, and then I'd be like, oh, right, I forgot about this part. And then I'd freak out. Well, not freak out, but I'd be like, oh, man. I forgot that it's not all happy and whimsy. Have you seen James and the Giant Peach? Yes, I have. I like that movie. I think it's good. It's a fun watch. I actually rewatched it, I think, last year? Because Hitomi had never seen it. So we watched it together. It was a fun watch. It was just as silly as I remembered. I thought it was good. Obviously, that one also had moments of being quite dark. But I think it did a really good job of, like, being dark but managing to maintain the whimsy element. I love James and his bug parents. When you look at older kids' movies, everyone is able to enjoy it without it being made easier. Now it's made easier. Not saying people can't enjoy it. At least that's how I see it. Yeah. Like, I think they can still be enjoyable, but I definitely think that, like, how stories have to be told has shifted because people's overall ability to, like, analyze and understand media has become a bit worse. Like, the amount of times people can't understand, like, a metaphor or, like, that something that they're being presented isn't literal. Take, for example, I saw a tweet on my For You page, I think, like, last night, of somebody talking about, like, this is related to the game Dispatch. I've been watching Hitomi play through Dispatch because she was really excited for it. So I've been getting some Dispatch tweets on my For You page now. But it was someone talking about, whether or not the character Robert was meant to be a certain age. And, like, they were arguing that it's implied that he's probably meant to be older, and, like, the creators already debunked this idea going around that he was supposed to be 26. And then someone posted, like, a cover art for one of the comics of him, like... It was clearly meant to be more metaphorical, I think, where, like, it was showing, like, the Mecha Man suit, and then, like, child Robert standing over it looking sad, and then, like, him as, like, an older teen, young adult preparing to become Mecha Man, and then, like, modern Robert as Mecha Man. And, like, it's clearly meant to be, like, this metaphor of, like, the child, like, realizing he was going to have to step into the shoes of Mecha Man and then becoming Mecha Man, but somebody was saying that the implication is, like, oh, he's been doing it since he was 11. Look, there's an image of him as a kid standing above the Mecha Man suit in this cover art. Because people don't understand anymore that it's meant to be a metaphor. And I was like, oh god. Media comprehension and literacy is fucking dead. Fucking help us. Like, and they couldn't have made it more obvious it was meant to be a metaphor because the child version of Robert was, like, grayed out, kind of, and it was meant to be, like, implied to be, like, a memory or a flashback or a something. And I'm just like, come on. Come on. You can do it. Use your brain. I was just so baffled. They were so, like, saying it with their whole chest, too. But yeah, it's like, I think that, like, because people are, like, losing out on, like, common aspects of, like, media comprehension and literacy, especially with the advent of things like generative AI that are coming in and, like, coming up with, like, essay responses, and, like, kids are starting to lose their ability to, like, think critically or, like, analyze something within a set time frame. Like, I don't know if this is satire, but I saw a screenshot of a TikTok of someone being like, how can my teacher expect us to write 4 paragraphs in, I think it said like 30 minutes? Maybe it was a little less. I don't remember. And I was like, oh God, please don't rely on the AI to cook your brain this hard. You have to be capable of stringing some sentences together. I know it can be difficult sometimes, but you gotta be able to do it. He started being Mecha Man when he was 11 and he was great. But, like, that's the thing. I was just so confused that you could see the art and interpret it as anything but a metaphor. But again, I guess you could argue that, like, many artistic things are open to interpretation, but it just felt like, how could you take that particular title, splash art for, like, the cover page that literally? I don't know. There are just aspects of that were giving me a freaking yikes grimace emoji moment. As somebody who likes to, I mean, obviously because I like to write and I like to read and I like to analyze media that I consume and, like, I get really into it. I do think that, like, maybe there is, like, a better balance for how to consume media, but at the same time, a lot of the fundamental skills have been lost on later generations, and I think it's also causing people to have to readjust how they tell stories. Like, you can't really rely on people picking up on subtext as much anymore, I feel. Because sometimes people will just take whatever is presented in the media at face value, and they won't look for the nuance within it. Or they'll assume that it's, like, advocating for the thing that they're depicting, even when it's very obviously being shown in, like, a more nuanced way of, hey, this is a bad thing, we're gonna show it, but we know that it's bad. But then people will just see that it's being shown and be like, oh, they're supporting this thing, it's evil and bad, show terrible. There's, like, no room for the kind of critical thinking that's needed to, like, have those kinds of scenes. So I think storytelling has started shifting to be more literal, to be more straightforward, to be more simple. And that's not inherently bad, because I think that these kinds of stories can still be enjoyable for people. But I also value depth in stories, and, like, I really like compelling characters and, like, characters that go through interesting arcs, and I feel like that kind of thing might start getting lost soon, too. Because characters are going to have to start being, not necessarily one note, but they're going to have to, like, lose out on some complexity in order to keep things on screen that, like, suit how the narrative wants you to perceive the characters. Is this anything? I don't know what I'm talking about. I hope I'm getting my point across. Media literacy is at an all-time low, it feels. I would say I agree. And that's why I think that media is having to like shift and pivot how it normally tells stories to try and, like, account for the fact that not everybody has the same media analysis and, like, literacy tools available. So they're making things a little bit more straightforward. I don't know how I feel about it, because I very much love the idea of, like, implications. Like, I want people to hear a story that I'm telling and, like, realize the implications within it, personally. Or, like, interpret it in a way that, may differ from what I intended, but I still think it could be like a valid reading of the thing. I don't know. I'm just open to that kind of stuff. We were actually having a conversation, me and Hitomi were having a conversation kind of similar to this topic the other day that was like, how we would feel if we like wrote or like made a thing, like a piece of media, like whether it be like a video game or like a story or like a video or whatever. If we made a piece of media, specifically like a fictional piece of media, and then how we would feel seeing like the fandom form around it. Because we were having this big discussion about how the influence of fandom seems to have also impacted how a lot of media is produced and like created. And we were talking about if we would be able to handle people interpreting like characters or like things that we write in our content as like different from what our original intention may have been. Not so much the idea of like death of the author or like kill your darlings or what have you, but just like, would you be able to handle looking at the fandom that forms around your creative IP and like watch them confidently be wrong? Or like be in their own little like Delulu land with like a random ship that you never thought of for those characters, but they're like really gung-ho about it basically being canon. Hitomi said that she'd be chill with it because she would just want to see like what people thought. And I was like, I think it depends. Because for me, I don't know if I could be fully open. I used to think that I would be, but I have to admit that there are some aspects of like, especially fandom via social media, where I think if I saw a really bad take about something that I was personally involved with, I'd be like, no. And I'd have to go touch grass. I'd be like, this isn't serious enough for me to get worked up over, but that's definitely a wrong take, and I need to go touch grass so that I don't worry about it. You can control what you write, you can't control how people respond to it. Better to embrace it than to fight it. Very true. But we were thinking about it because I was talking about examples of like where it seems that the fandom's influence like really gets to the overall creative process of a project. There were two examples that I cited in this conversation. The first one was about how Scott Cawthon of FNAF fame, oh god, you know Hanaki's talking about FNAF, run for the hills. But Scott Cawthon of FNAF fame very famously did have an intended solution for what was inside the box at the end of one of the games. And one of the game theory videos made by MattPat, correctly called out what the solution for the box was and like what was going to be in the box. And he was so angry that somebody figured it out before he could reveal it in a game that he purposefully never addressed the box ever again. He just like completely retconned his original plans for the box and was just like, it's fucking nothing. I don't fucking care anymore. Like he got really butthurt that it was figured out before he could reveal it. And like that's a very common like thing that happened, which is crazy. And there's also another series that I personally like, which is this online I guess it's kind of an ARG in a way, but there's this ARG called Welcome Home, which is like a public broadcast puppet show, kind of in the style of like Sesame Street or the Muppets in a way, that used to exist. This is a fictional series, but they have like a website of like that was made by a group of people trying to archive it. And there's like a bunch of like hidden imagery and like there's implications of it being like occult and like being like kind of like spooky scary, like underneath the veneer of these like bright pastel puppets and stuff. And one of the things that I thought was really cool is the fact that the creator, who goes by the name Clown, refuses to engage with literally anything related to the fandom at all. They do not watch any fan theories, they do not look at any fan art, they do not touch any fan fiction. Everyone is allowed to have like their own free reign for like how they interpret the media that Clown is creating, but they are actively choosing to not partake in the fandom at all. because they're worried that even just, like, looking at what the fandom is coming up with and the stuff that they're, like, trying to theorize about their work could possibly end up influencing how they end up making the story continue. It's basically this idea of, like, I don't want to touch the fandom, I don't want to see a theory. The theory could influence, like, what I'm planning with my project, or I could see something that a fan makes and then end up subconsciously including it in my work, even if that wasn't my intention. They really want their work to try and stay as pure as possible, so they're, like, almost entirely staying away from all of the fandom creations. Which I think is cool, and also really fascinating from a creative perspective. Which is true. If you consume stuff related to your work, I wouldn't be surprised if certain ideas that you thought were, like, really neat might bleed through. And if you have a specific direction that you want to maintain, it might be better to just not look at it so that you can focus on what you're doing. Basically, it's the opposite to the Scott approach. It's basically the opposite of what Scott Cawthon did. I think that's fair, especially if you have a strong drive for what your vision is and fear of contamination, for lack of a better term. I think that's how they worded it too, yeah. They didn't want their ideas to be sullied by influence from, like, wanting to appease fans, like hearing a fan theory and being like, oh, it wasn't going to be like that, but maybe I should change it to appease this person. Because I think that's also something that can happen specifically if you have, like, a more online fan base and, like, access to the fan base around your work. I do think you could subconsciously end up influenced by things that they create for your work. Which was why we were having this discussion. I was like, do you think you'd be able to handle it? Like, seeing other people make work around your content? And he to me was like, yeah, I don't think I'd really care that much. In the end, I know my vision is my vision. And fans are allowed to have their own interpretation. For me, I wasn't entirely sure if I could handle it, just because, like, I feel like if someone got something, like, fundamentally, like, at its core wrong, I would, like, be worried that I wasn't telling my story correctly. Like, if they got something just completely off base, I'd be like, should I have elaborated on that more? And I think I would start being concerned about my ability to tell a story. But like, it's not necessarily to where I'd be like, oh, I fucking suck, my story's trash. But I'd just be like, maybe I need to make that clearer in future installments. Weird for authors, if you wrote it well, people should see what's ahead. Bad writing is plot twist, JK random. Right. That's how I felt about the Scott situation, too. I was like, I don't think it's that deep. You shouldn't, like, immediately retcon it just because you're mad someone solved it. But apparently he would get kind of, like, I don't want to say offended, but he would get, like, personally invested in how people were, like, interpreting his work, and he would always, like, want it to be more of a mystery than it would end up being. And then I guess he was mad that the mystery was sometimes being ruined by people making theories and guessing. But also, I don't know, it's Five Nights at Freddy's. Can you really get that up in arms about it? I suppose you can if it's your idea, if it's your brainchild, but meh. The first part of the second book is devoted to all the random Twitter comments. Me addressing my fandom directly. I saw a fuck-ass tweet. No, I would never. Like I said, I don't think it ultimately would be that deep to me. I think there would just be a chance that I would take it more personally than I would like. I heard Cawthon is highly involved in the fan game community for FNAF. There are official fan games that he approves of. Yeah, like he'd give certain ones like a green light. I think he was also helping fund certain fan games before, so a lot of people started assuming that the fan games that he was helping produce were like more canon than others. Which I just think is a load of malarkey, but okay, man. Okay, man. moon. You take the moon. This is the moon, by the way. I don't know if you noticed. It's the moon. It's a moon. Finished my assignment. You know, unintentional co-working stream is a success yet again. I am working. I'm coloring. We've established this. That's mozzarella. It's a mozzarella ball. Yeah, that's what the moon is. I don't know if you should eat this mozzarella, though. It's got a big, black square in the center. I think that might be mold. Might want to be careful. To be fair, I think part of FNAF's success has to be due to being terminally online. No, I agree. But that's why I feel like it's weird that he was letting fan theories get in the way of the overall vision of the series. Like, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with, like, the people being terminally online coming up with a theory. But he was so upset that they had gotten it right that he retconned it. And I just feel like it goes back to what we were saying, right? Like, it's usually a better sign that your story is good, that you can pick up on all of the hints and the illusions that came in the before to, like, then make a theory about what's going to come after. I think that's good. That's a sign that you've, like, been leaving breadcrumbs, like, properly. The creator? I guess. I mean, he's less terminally online now because he got, like, canceled or whatever. I don't know if he went back on that and started being online again, but still. Let's check up here. Man, look at space. Awesome. Reads like you're not confident in your own vision. Yeah, kinda. I don't think he's online, but I think he is involved with the movies. Well, yeah, he would probably have to have some sort of involvement in them. And it's not like he's not involved with the games anymore. Latest games have been made by other studios that license the property, but are based on things that happened in the books that he wrote, or, like, had a hand in overseeing. So he's still kind of involved in some ways. Yeah, it's definitely not to the same extent that it was in the past, but still. Anyway. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I just go here. But, like, I don't know. With how people tend to be about media literacy, it's like, I think you can also go too far in the other direction, with certain things. Like, okay, I'm getting a lot of Pokemon ZA content on my, Twitter now that I've beat the game, and I'm also, like, interacting with a lot of fan art, so I'm getting a lot of Pokemon ZA content. I'm not gonna talk about spoilers, still. But, like, I saw a clip of somebody, analyzing, or, like, interpreting the story of ZA, how they saw it, and, like, being like, oh, this is a metaphor for and, like, this, like, represents the real world, and it does, like, like, it was just, like, a really basic, like, media analysis type video clip. But there were a lot of replies to it being like, or, it's a Pokemon game, and you're just supposed to focus on the battling, and stop trying to read so deeply into a story that's not there. And I was like, why are you mad? Why are you mad? I just thought that was such a crazy crash out, or, like, lash out, I guess, more so. Like, why would you get that butthurt over somebody just having, like, an opinion? I think it's wrong to just play something and just take it at face value like that, and to just be like, it's only about battling. Like, obviously there's more story there. And you can interpret it and you can be right or you could be wrong. Just because it's not clear and it's not like boldly placed on the page, this is a story about... Like, you can interpret it in whatever way you want. And it can be right and it can be wrong. And people are allowed to have, like, a basic ability of literary analysis to be like, hey, I think this represents... It's not like they're saying it to be true. But then these people were just getting so, like, uppity, and they were being like, it's a Pokemon game, you're supposed to only care about the battling. There's no story. You're just trying to see a story where there isn't one. You're trying to project real-world issues onto a game that's made for kids, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, please. Let people have fun with a media. Ay, ay, ay. It's weird that people get mad at other people thinking about things. I know. Like, if you don't like it, just ignore it. Or if you think they're wrong, just don't... I mean, you can, like, try to engage in a debate if you want, but be nice about it. There's no reason to be like, you're literally wrong because you're trying to see the real world in this fantasy game. As much as you might not like it, most, if not every, piece of media is going to be based on something that happened in the real world. I really hate to tell you this. I'm sorry to break your immersion. But there will always be some sort of reference to, like, real-world circumstances, real-world events, real-world whatever. Because most of the time, people are creating things based on their own lived experiences. This is a fact of life. Even if you're writing the most fantasy, out-of-this-world thing known to man, there are still going to be aspects of the life that you have lived and the world as you experience it within your writing. Like, that's just how it be. And also, people who have their own lived experiences that are separate from that are going to see their lived experiences in your media, and that's called literary analysis and literary interpretation. These things may conflict sometimes. I know it's crazy, but just because you don't think there's a story doesn't mean that other people feel that way. Even if the story is like super bare bones, basic, point A to point B, whatever, it's still a story. You're still allowed to interpret it in the way that you think. I don't know. And, like, of course, I also just finished saying that there are situations where I feel like someone would get something, like, completely off base, and I'd be like, are you sure? But, like, I also wouldn't make it their problem and be like, you're literally stupid for trying to analyze it this way. Like, I just think that's uncalled for. I think it's fine to have sometimes a cigar is just a cigar mentality, but arguing with people's interpretation for existing is a kind of anti-intellectual take that I can't wrap my brain around. Yeah. That's kind of how I saw it. It just felt like they didn't really want someone to be thinking about a piece of media more deeply than it is Pokemon, Pokemon battle, attack, go burr. And, like, ZA's story, I feel, is pretty good, at least compared to some of the other stories we've gotten in more mainline Pokemon. Again, I'm avoiding spoilers. But I definitely don't think it's the most complex story ever. Like, I like it. I don't think it's very complex. I do think it's pretty straightforward, and I feel like the basic, like, the basic media analysis take that this person made in her video, I was like, yeah, I can see that being an interpretation. I think that's very fair. She had a lot of, like, evidence from the text of the game to back up her thoughts and her opinions, so I understood that. And I just feel like, conversely, if you want to argue that what she is saying is false, you should get your evidence from the game. Where is your evidence that the game said that it's just about Pokemon battling and there's nothing else? If we're going to be making these sweeping generalized statements, clearly the game must have some sort of evidence about that, right? And you can point to it. Smile? I don't know. But that's what I mean when I say I feel like it can sometimes go too far in the other direction, where it's like people taking things too seriously either way is just kind of like, it's a sign that that the literacy is kind of dying on both sides. Either we have people thinking that they understand it, but they're like not really able to understand like very, very basic tells. in existing media. And then conversely, we have people who just refuse to look for any existing tells, and they just want to take it at face value of is game where you battle, and then they just don't really bother to care about the rest of the text.
Thank you so much.
And it kind of sucks that it has to go both ways like that. I don't know, man. I miss the middle of the road where people would be more excited to, like, analyze things, but also be willing to have different takes from one another. But I feel like we're starting to see that less and less. Daniel Smith, thank you for the $24 tip. Ah, I see you, so we could get to 69. Haha, nice. What do you mean the World Wars influenced fantasy and sci-fi for over 50 years? Silly Oni, fiction is fiction. Like All's Quiet on the Western Space Front and Space Battleship Yamato. Wait a minute. Yeah, exactly. I think it's fine to see real-world allegories in fantasy, and I really don't understand why people were like, how dare you insinuate that, like, the real life is permeating my fictional France? Like, God forbid. Space Battleship Yamato is cool. I think I've heard the name before, but I've never watched it. But also, I've openly said I'm not really a sci-fi girly, and if that show is sci-fi, then that's probably why I never watched it. Or consumed it. What happened to the Jawbreaker? I finished that level already, so now we're on to, like, a beach thing. Whoops. Did not mean to do that. I always accidentally click. It's fine, it's still colorable. Colorable. That's my sweeping statement. The anti-intellectualism pandemic has created two castes of people where anyone slightly intellectual is considered elitist and anyone outside of the group refuses to engage. Very true. And, like, I don't know, I don't even think it's necessarily meant to be, like, intellectualism, to, like, look at a piece of media and be like, oh, this reflects the world by doing brr, brr, brr. Like, these are basic things that they teach you in school. English classes aren't so much to teach you, like, better English, it's to teach you how to interpret English. To get, like, a deeper understanding of the nuances of, like, stories. It teaches you basic media and, like, literary analysis. It teaches you how to think. It's literally like thinking class. I just think it's very simple. Or at least it always was to me. My favorite recent ZA fact, Shiicho saw AZ and thought he was half horse because she thought his hair was a tail. Oh my god. Shiicho, the woman that you are. I love her so much. I love her. Half horse in a Pokemon game. Hell yeah. Honestly, would have made the narrative so much more fun if he was half horse. That's awesome. I love her. I accept her interpretation. Same. Some people seem insulted at having to think at all. Right, and then we have the cases of them, like, resorting to, like, the chat GPT of it all, where they, like, make the chat bot do all the thinking for them. And then you go back to what I said about how there are cases of people being like, I don't know how to write, like, 3 5-sentence paragraphs in 20 minutes. And yeah, because you're not working out that muscle anymore, because you've outsourced all of your thinking to a chatbot. In, like, the most extreme scenarios, of course. I don't know. person who's only ever played Uma Musume, I'm getting big Uma vibes from this guy. At Grok, please tell me what Yuno is saying right now and make it sound like a funny Oni says it. Amazing. Wanna try any of my curry sans? Nay. I mean, no thanks. Not the nay. I'm gonna cry. So funny. My goodness. Anyway, thanks for coming to my rant. I just think it's important that people do their best to exercise critical thinking with media. You don't have to overanalyze it or be like a freak about it like I am. But sometimes it's important to like think about what you're consuming and like the nuances. But it is also true that sometimes a spade is just a spade. I think that's okay too. I always think of this one time I was in one of my writing classes. As you guys know, I was a creative writing major, so I'm very used to talking about this shit all the time. But anyways, so there was one class that we had to take that was called creative nonfiction, which was basically turning elements and like aspects of things from your real life and making it like read like a fiction story, even though it was based off of your real life. And for me, I thought that my real life was boring as hell, and I really struggled in that class because I felt like I wasn't really able to like glean anything in particular from my life since it felt so boring. But I did like, I found a through line eventually for something that I wanted to include as like my overall like capstone piece for the class. And one of the things that I submitted once was this story about a time I went to the beach with a bunch of my friends. And like the way I wrote it, I didn't really intend for there to be any sort of deeper meaning to the things that were depicted in there at the time. But like everybody in the class was like, oh yeah, you standing at the beach and looking at the waves is a metaphor for the receding like the receding period what was the exact phrasing? I don't fucking remember. It was like time is like receding and like fading into the distance. And like even though you're with people in the present, you can already tell that the present moment is becoming a thing of the past, fading away into nothing. And I was kind of sitting there like, or I was just talking about how I was looking at waves. I don't know. It like, they were trying really hard to like analyze what I wrote. And so I just kind of smiled and nodded. But that's definitely, like, the biggest case of, like, a spade is a spade. Or in this case, a wave is a wave. But I always think about that example when it comes to, like, how some people kind of view, like, this sort of interpretation of media to be silly. Like, I think it's fair to try and glean deeper insight from things that you're reading. But it's always very funny to realize that the writer never intended for it to be that deep. There was like a really famous example of this. I don't remember who the author was, but like everybody was constantly asking them about this like particular scene in their book, and they were just like, oh, I just included that because I had to meet word count. I had to meet word count for a particular deadline. Sure. Like they were just fine with however people interpreted it. Because, like, once it's written, it's kind of out of your hands, and if people interpret it in, like, a way that's different from what you intended, they're like, okay, I didn't mean that, but, yeah. There's a lesson there about authorial intent. I know, right? There's a lesson somewhere in there. I can't see it, though. Death of the author is a thing. No harm in deriving meaning from something that wasn't intended. True. I think there are a lot of authors that don't really realize that death of the author is a thing. But that goes back to like that discussion I had with Hitomi, like would you be able to handle a fandom that like interprets your work wrong, potentially? Or, like, sees things so differently from, like, how you intended the rest of the story to go. And the answer is supposed to be yes, because it doesn't harm anyone, and once the piece is out of my hands, I no longer have a say over how people interpret what happened. That's what the answer should be, but that answer isn't always easy to come to, I feel. I think it's easy to say it, and it's a lot harder to, like, actively practice it. Or at least I think that's what would happen to me. I feel like I would have this urge to want to over-explain myself. But I would be interested to just see why they think that way. I'd want to counter it and be like, well, I intended it to be more like this, but I do think that your way is interesting. Like, I wouldn't necessarily discount it, but I would be like, here's what I meant. I think I wouldn't be able to resist that urge to be like, this is what I meant. The way you interpreted it is different from what I meant. But I wouldn't necessarily be mad at them for interpreting it in a different way. Or, like, seeing something that I didn't intend to put there. But I think it kind of depends on the thing, too. Like, if it's shipping, I don't really give a shit. You can ship whoever you want. I don't care. But if it's more like a fundamental character misunderstanding, I feel like that would be something that would be more likely to get me to raise my eyebrow. Or like a plot misunderstanding, because to me, I feel like I'd be really good at laying all the pieces down, and then if somebody, like, interpreted it wrong, I'd be like, did I fuck up? Didn't the author of Evangelion say he named it so because he thought the name sounded cool? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know anything about Evangelion, though. I have a friend who, like, hyperfixated on it. Maybe I should ask her. But, I don't know that much about it, personally. So I can't say. I'll try an interpretation of the stream until now. It's about gambling on Uma races and how certain horses always lose. What? Eva is cool. I think the OG run is worth a watch. Maybe to some people, not to me. The only Eva media I have ever consumed is I have, like, the first volume of, like, an actual, like, high school AU spin-off where it was supposed to focus just entirely on their school life. It goes a little bit into detail about the Evas at the end, I think, but the version that I have is just supposed to be about, like, the school life, the school days specifically. Because in the end, I am a slice of life fiend, and I am not a sci-fi fiend. Especially not with mecha. I know Evangelion is technically not really a mecha, because it's way more like a psychological, like, narrative experience most of the time, but it still does not really speak to me. It can be both. I mean, it can. I don't think it is. This reminds me of a conversation I had with some friends about kanji from Persona 4. I'd argue kanji is meant to be read as explicitly gay, but enough of it was open to interpretation that I've heard people argue he's not gay at all and just insecure about his feminine hobbies. Right, I do think it could go either or both ways, depending on how you interpret it. I feel the same way about how people interpret Naoto in Persona 4. A lot of people get so angry at the idea of people headcanoning Naoto as anything but a cis woman, because they always cite that part in her social link where you can make her wear a dress and, like, have her present more femininely in general and stuff. And, like, ignoring the fact that that is kind of weird to do to a girl who clearly prefers to dress more masculine, which should be allowed for girls. But then, like, I don't really understand why the idea of a headcanon hurts people. Like, they think that anyone who has, like, a personal thought about a character goes directly against canon, and they're, like, actively spitting on the author's fucking media by interpreting it that way, but I don't think that's how it is. I really think it's just like they see themselves in a character, and so they're like headcanoning them to have like a different gender identity, and that's not that big of a deal. And you can still acknowledge that, like, yeah, this probably isn't canon, but this is what I think. This is how I sees it. I think with kanji, it's a little bit more nuanced. Meanwhile, with Naoto, there is a little bit more explicit, like, I don't want to say explicit negation, but I just don't think it's that deep. And I feel like if you argue that it's canon because this in the text makes it so, I think that's fine. That just means you interpret it differently, even from how the author intended it. But it's not like they're going to go around hating on anybody who, like, interprets Naoto as being a woman. Same with anyone who interprets kanji as being straight or gay. Like, I don't think anyone's really gonna care. It's not that deep. The people who like that interpretation tend to not care that much. But then there's other people who, like, swear by canon that will, like, get so uppity and angry if you think of anything against canon. But there's a difference between being, like, the media is portraying them as this versus based on what I am seeing in the media, I perceive it to be this. There's more nuance there than I think some people are willing to give people with those headcanons credit for. In my humblest of onions. Oh my god, there's a lot of layers. But I think they're really small. Like, I think it's just gonna be a lot of this. Because it's a really tall tower. Some people can't seem to separate the two. I do think it's true that sometimes how you interpret something can cause it to be difficult to, like, perceive the rest of the media if it goes against it. But I feel like 9 times out of 10, it's not that serious for a lot of people. But I know that there used to be a lot of debates about Naoto's gender and Kanji's sexuality. Persona 4 fandom was very notorious for this, but I think it also is partially because of how P4 addressed it, or, like, how P4 chose to approach it. I think they chose angles that were... I don't want to say purposefully ambiguous, because I don't think that was the intention. I think that the angle that they took with writing both Kanji and Naoto was just a little bit... It was just confusing enough to people that it became difficult to, like, really parse through what, like, and, like, who can truly argue intent unless you directly hear it from the creators, you know? But, like, it would cause a lot of people to, like, be more assertive about their opinion compared to others. In my humblest of onions, oh my god, there's a lot of layers. This is a funny, unintentional string of words. So true. I did not even realize I said those two things close together. I was trying to just get to my point about P4. Anyways. But no, I would agree that Persona is kind of like, doesn't have the best track record with portraying any sort of queer character. And again, it goes back to the argument of, well, in the canon, is Naoto even really queer? Or, like, is Kanji even really actually queer? Or is it just femininity? Or, like, struggling with expression? And I think you could interpret it both ways and you would technically be correct. Because the other thing to understand, at least with, like, Persona characters, they're teenagers. We could be right, we could be wrong. They could change their minds super easily. And, like, that's just kind of part of being a teenager. You know what I mean? Like, identity itself is already so fluid and, like, can often be, like, convoluted and blur the lines a lot. Everyone could be right and everyone could be wrong simultaneously. My personal problem comes when people claim the author sees it as / the author said X when the author said exactly the opposite. I think that is fair. I think you shouldn't force authors to offer an opinion on things like that, because it goes back to death of the author, right? Like, once it's out of their hands, it's out of their hands. But then you have cases of things where, like, a certain writer for a certain magical boy series would be going back retroactively, and even though it wasn't included in the books, she would be like, oh yeah, this character, they're gay, or like, this character, they are this, as like some sort of show of like representation. But if you don't really see it in the source material, it can be kind of hard to really take that as good rep. But I think that's kind of why people also will then turn around and assume that anything the author says is just like, that's how it is, even if it wasn't in the base material. So they think that they can, like, bother the original creators to, like, provide an opinion that suits whatever their argument is. Because, like, I feel like if anyone tried to approach the creators of Persona 4 to get their honest opinion of Kanji, or of Naoto, or whoever, I think it would be like, okay, but that's, like, from forever ago. My interpretation of Naoto is that her presenting mask had more to do with how women are treated in professional roles, but there's an argument to be made that her experiences overlap with trans mask themes. It can go both ways. Her story is open-ended enough, and like I said, because these characters are young, you could easily interpret it that, like, it starts out with her feeling that way about being a woman, but then maybe later in life she decides she wants to actually transition. Because a lot of themes in her early story before her, like, coming out as a girl, or, like, revealing that she is a girl, however you want to interpret it, a lot of the themes before then were her, like, being very determined to make sure that everyone perceived her as a boy, and it could come from both angles, you know? With Kanji, I think it's more... It's interesting that, like, some people think that a character is more clear-cut than others, because to me, I feel like Kanji's story is more about fighting with, like, being a guy but having more feminine interests and being potentially perceived as gay because of it. Like, I don't personally... If I were to, like, just objectively try to analyze Kanji right now in this moment, I wouldn't necessarily call him gay, but I don't think it's wrong. I think it's fine to see it that way, because I can also, like, flip it on its head and be like, well, yeah, maybe the extreme exaggeration of it in the Shadow World was because he does actually have interest in guys, or, like, maybe he isn't sure if he doesn't, because you could have the double negative of, like, maybe they are actually interested in dudes, but, like, if Kanji's never really had interest in anyone before, how could he know? So maybe it is an internal fear of, like, a thing that could end up being true. Or it could just be about the fact that he likes cute shit and he likes sewing and needlework, and he thinks that that is a threat to the fact that the rest of him is perceived as masculine. It could go either way. I feel like Kanji is a more open-ended case. But also to me, I feel like it's also a bit more clear-cut in the sense of it's mostly a struggle with, like, masculinity and femininity. Naoto's kind of the inverse, and I feel like because Naoto specifically chooses to present as a boy in order to combat these feelings that she has, I think that's kind of why it feels a bit easier to, like, label it as a more trans narrative in the eyes of some people. Not saying that it is. I just can see why those interpretations come about a bit more than they do for Kanji. For the record, this is just me expressing an opinion on these ideas. I'm not saying one or the other is correct. It's also been a hot minute since I've played Persona 4, so I might not be remembering everything fully clearly. I think the last time I was playing through Persona 4 Golden, I stopped in the middle of Naoto's dungeon. Ironically. So I don't have a full picture in my head right now. I know we're were just talking about Death of the Author, but Troy Baker, Kanji's original voice actor, he got replaced by Matt Mercer, in later, iterations, but yes. So the devs told him that Kanji was gay and that they made it more subtle in the NA localization. Interesting. I think it gets confusing too, because then you look at the fact that Kanji and Naoto are often paired up, and if we go with the argument that Naoto is meant to be like a cis woman who just feels that she needs to present mask for work, and then if we go with that idea that Kanji is gay, that's very interesting. That's very interesting to me. Are you sure? I feel like I've never heard this. The only thing that I've heard was that there was supposed to be a love confession with Yosuke where he was going to confess to the pro tag if you maxed his social link and you chose the romantic options anyway. And they had like they had recordings of it from Yuri Lowenthal. Like it was initially going to be included in like both the original and in the localization, but then they decided to cut it. That's like the closest I've ever heard to any sort of like gay confirmation for Persona 4. Oh, thank you for the posture check. Straightened up just a little. Yosuke romance audio is actually still in the game. You can patch it back in with mods, which tells you how close they were to including it. Yeah, I remember. As someone who really likes Yosuke, I'm very sad that we were deprived. Yosuke is my favorite Persona 4 character. I like the magicians in both Persona 3 and Persona 4. Persona 3, I only played P3P. So when I say magician, I'm thinking of Junpei. I'm not thinking of the other guy. Because I didn't play as the boy. My only playthrough of Persona 3 I ever did, I was playing as Minako. But I really like Junpei. And Yosuke is probably my favorite Persona character ever. I just think he's really cute and great, and I like him. But also Morikubo bias. Because he's voiced by Shotaro Morikubo in JP. And Morikubo used to be one of my Seiyu crushes. He still kind of is. Sometimes. Like, sometimes I hear his voice in, like, an otome or something, and I'm like, wow, I remember when I used to love your voice, sir. The flashbacks are crazy. There are other characters that happens with. Other voice actors. But anyway. Yosuke being gay actually explains a lot of his behavior in that game. I think, like, even if you don't necessarily fully market him as gay, necessarily, at the very least, I feel like what he feels for the main character is, like, very, very strong. Maybe it could be very, very deep platonic love and adoration for the main character. However, if you want to make it romantic, I think it was cool that there would have been an option to do so. And the thing is, it was going to be an option. It wasn't going to be forced. Just like how you aren't forced to date any of the girls if you're doing their social links. So any of the people that like scream and cry that they were going to force the yaoi on you, you could have just chosen the options that make it a bro thing. I deserved my yaoi. I didn't get it, but I deserved it. It's fine. It exists in my dreams. Evergreen statement, yes. It is an evergreen statement. It applies to a lot of things. Me when I assist straight man refer to my guy best friend as my partner exclusively. Honestly, yeah. Aibo is such, like, strongly coded language. He's kind of crazy for that, I fear. Like, Yosuke, you weren't fooling anybody. But I don't necessarily think that he has to be labeled as gay. in order to, like, have feelings for the protag. Like, I think he could still be bi, and then he just happens to have only realized the bi awakening via having feelings for... I keep wanting to use his name. I'm just gonna use his name. Having feelings for Narukami. Or, like, he could just not really be aware of his sexuality at all. That's what I mean when I say these characters are teenagers. Also, identity itself is very nebulous. Take it from me, somebody who has changed labels quite a bit overall in my life. Like, identity stuff is very nebulous, and you don't always have, like, a very clear idea of what you are, and you don't necessarily have to have a label on it in order to, like, identify a way. So I don't know. There's, like, a lot of reasons why I'm, like, more chill with interpretations of characters being, like, queer or trans or whatever. Like, I just think that because identity is so nebulous, it could go, like, a bunch of different ways, and it can always change later. You're not stuck one way forever. People change their minds. People come to discoveries about themselves. You could think that you're pretty set in your ways now, and for all we know, you could be. But, like, something could also happen, and then you'd be like, oh, maybe not. And that's fine. So I feel like whenever I'm interpreting, like, queer headcanons for characters, I just kind of leave it very open. And I'm just like, I don't know, it could change, it could not. It's whatever. Big shrug emoji. Ah. That is my alarm. How many more layers are on this one? 36? Okay, I think I can push and finish this, but, is going to be dinner time soon, chat. So this will probably be the last one. Don't leave. I'm sorry, but a girl's gotta eat food. I haven't eaten yet today, so I gotta eat food, man. I gotta get food in my tummy. Please understand. But you've got me for a while longer. I'm only on layer 10, and this one has, I literally just looked, but 36? So you've got me for a while longer. Me shaking my head as I read the yaoi scene so people watching know I don't approve. Me nodding my head in approval while reading the yaoi so that the people know that I do approve of it and I want more. But that's just my filthy Fujoshi nature. My rotten, rotten girl aesthetique. Girls need food. I always learn so much from these streams. Yes, I know. I'm very educational. I'm an educational resource. I should tag all of my streams as educational. I won't do that. I won't do that. God, I won't do that. I do not want to be seen as an authority on fucking anything. I'll cry. Even if it's something I know a lot about, I'm just like, oh god, if people start citing me as an authority, it's Jover. It's Jover. Anyways, I guess since I am going to end soonish, Onimon tomorrow will be at the normal time, 8 p.m. And then Tuesday will be Chrono Trigger Endurance. I'll start early for Chrono Trigger, and then I'm gonna try to lock the frick in and finish it in that stream. I really hope I can. I don't know how much more left I have. I don't think it's very much. But I'm gonna lock in and finish it. And hopefully we will be able to accomplish it. But that'll probably be earlier than normal. Because normally those streams are at like 10 a.m. I'm thinking I might start at like 8. If that's okay with y'all. I apologize if that's like too early for you. I know some of you are in different time zones and are going to be like, oh, Jesus. But I got to do it because I don't know how much time I'm going to need to dedicate to the game. Because I don't know how much is left. 3 more streams and I will earn my PhD in yaoi. PhD? I didn't realize you were studying for a PhD in yaoi. Hell yeah. You will have to let me read your dissertation. Also, you're going to have to argue your thesis in front of me. So you better be preparing. Defend your thesis with your freaking life. I'm off until Wednesday, so bet. Ooh, enjoy your break. Love that for you. Yuno wants to watch the practical. I do. Yuno being an authority of otome. I don't know if I deserve to be an otome authority. I haven't played enough, I think. I need to play more, honestly, but I got stuck because I'm on Pio Fiore, and I'm on, like, the second route of that game. And I'm not gonna lie, this is the first time I've played an otome, and it hasn't really, like, fully gripped me yet. Like, I really like the characters, but I'm realizing that there's aspects of the story that I'm kind of like, and I haven't gone back to it in, like, months. So honestly, if I pick it up again, I might have to start over, at least on the route I'm on. Because I remember the character that I finished. But this route's been rather difficult. Mostly because the love interest isn't really around for a lot of his own route. I'm just like, bro, where are you? How am I supposed to romance you if you're not here? That's kind of sick and twisted. So that's kind of part of why this particular route has been a struggle. The effects of yaoi hands on Oni and humans in different age ranges. So by the effects of yaoi hands, do you mean them having the yaoi hands, or do you mean them being touched by a yaoi hand? You might need to make your thesis statement a bit clearer. We need to understand if you're giving yaoi hands to others, or if they are being touched by a yaoi hand. Yes, it can't be both. A thesis statement has to focus specifically on one thing. Me takes your joke, takes it very, very seriously. That's the perk of having someone who likes deadpan humor. I will take your bit and I will treat it very seriously. Making you correct your thesis statement. I'm just like this. This is how my brain works. This is how I was constructed. Oh, jeez. Now I'm nervous. Oh, gosh. Ugh. Tugs on my collar. Oh, God, guys. I'm so nervous. I don't know if I'm ready to defend my thesis in front of Miss Hanaki. Oh, gosh, guys. I'm so nervous. Yuno PowerPoint party stream win. I literally want to do one so bad. I think that would be so much fun. I've just been trying to figure out how to do it. Like, obviously, I want to try and ask other VTubers to, like, make PowerPoints and like, do that with me. But I also think it would be really fun if I had to go through PowerPoint presentations that you guys make. And, like, you just submit them on a form via Google Slides or something. And then I have to, like, see what your points are. And I, like, judge your PowerPoint. I think that would be kind of awesome. I've seen other people, like, make similar content. Oh god, I did not mean to turn it like that. I've seen other people make content like that, though, and I think it's really funny. Cool idea. Yeah, I think so, too. I just have to figure out how to organize it, and, like, if, like, a good time to do it, also. Crowdsource could be fun. I agree. Because then that would give you guys a chance to... I did the fucking thing again. Oh my god. Help! It would give me a chance to... It would give me a chance to learn about your hyperfixations via the presentations that you make. And then we could also showcase it to everybody else. It's kind of like that. It wouldn't be the exact same, but you know that Jackbox game where you're like assigned a topic and you have to like make a presentation, and then you have like another player that like assigns all the slides to you and all the statements you have to include and stuff. I don't think it would be exactly like that, but I think that it would be pretty funny to try and like make a cohesive presentation out of whatever you guys made. And I have to try and prove your points for you based on what you've given me. I think that could also be very fun. It feels like a speech and debate exercise that I would have done in high school. It's giving speech and debate improv exercise. But I also think that it would be fun. I hated giving presentations in high school. I did speech and debate, so I got used to it. It's also where my going first mentality came from, though, because I would always go first so that I wouldn't have to worry about it for the rest of class. I could just sit and chill, set the bar at like a reasonable level, and then I go sit down, and then I'm good, and I don't have to do anything else ever again. However, some teachers were privy to my tricks, and they started changing it so they had to like start arbitrarily assigning who went when to prevent me from going first. And I was like, why? Shouldn't you be happy that someone wants to go first? But I vividly remember how much I wanted to go first for this like particular presentation. And the teacher like specifically was calling on everyone but me, so I had to go last. And I was like, you're gonna make me present like right before the bell? This sucks. It was because she knew I always wanted to go first so that I could check out the rest of class. Called the fuck out, I fear. I think a members PowerPoint party would be lots of fun. Especially if it was in VR chat or something. I don't know if my PC can run VR chat. Maybe? Maybe. I will think about the logistics a little bit more and come up with an idea. But I guess you have a point that if we did use something like VR chat, that would probably allow for people to like actually pull up their presentations there and like put it on like an actual whiteboard. But I would have to make sure you guys would know how to fucking behave. Behave and lock in. Because I'm worried that if I got all of you into a VR chat room, everybody would just be goofy, crazy, silly. Us behave? I know, I would want you to, but I don't know if you would. You're a little bit silly like that. Also, Yuno Hanaki does not have a 3D model right now, so I would have to figure out how to present myself, too. I don't know. I will consider further. Oh, I don't know about a Discord stream either. I don't know about a Discord. I mean, in case you haven't noticed, I don't even have a fan cord, so I don't know about all that. If it was going to be a platform like that where you guys would be able to access and interact with me, it would probably be VR chat, because that would be a lot easier to, like, regulate overall, and it would be a one-time instance. But again, I don't know. I'd have to think about the logistics further. I forget what this is supposed to be, but it's giving tree. Or giving, like... I don't know. Green flat surface, I guess. It's giving tree, but I don't know if it is. Me, when someone asks you what my favorite Shel Silverstein poem is, it's giving tree. That is a joke that appeals to literally nobody. I've officially reached the bottom of my joke pool. I've reached the bottom. There's no more jokes in the hat. I get it. You do? Yay. I'm glad it's not completely lost on you. I like unironically loved Shel Silverstein. Silverstein? I don't remember how to say it, unfortunately. I loved his books as a kid. I really liked those poetry books. I really loved Where the Sidewalk Ends in particular. I think I checked that book out of my elementary school library a lot. There's also a Tommy DePaola. Oh my god, I cannot believe I remember that. There was this Tommy DePaola book I checked out all the time too, The Indian Paintbrush. Oh my god, I read that book all the time. All the time, dude. That was like my go-to. The school librarian was literally just like, are you here to check out The Indian Paintbrush again? And I'd be like, yeah. Yeah, man. The irony of the Giving Tree being printed repeatedly is not lost on me. True. It is very ironic. I stole my classroom's copy? Oh my god, hardcore. I feel you, though. I think I also stole a classroom copy of a book. I can't remember what it was. I think it's my copy of The Boxcar Children, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it. Because I was trying to think of other stuff that I read a lot as a kid. And Boxcar Children was definitely, like, one of the main ones. I think I stole a classroom copy of it. It was either first or second grade where I stole it. I don't remember. If I could find my copy of it, it might tell me, because it might have my teacher's name in there somewhere. But I know for sure I stole it. I liked it so much. Specifically Volume 1. I liked the other books too. The other volume that I remember the most from the Boxcar Children is the ice cream shop one. Where they were like helping run an ice cream shop in town. And I was like, yeah. I like this. But that's because I like ice cream. I got a decent number of boxcars and Hardy Boys. I didn't get into any of the other, like, more detective-y books. I just really, really liked Boxcar Children. It's a good reason. Thanks, man. Child, you know, had priorities. They were related to, ice cream, I guess. Makes sense. She knew what she was about. "16 more layers. And then I must escape." Lick ice cream and do crimes, and I'm all out of ice cream. That's true. Sorry, I should say it like how I talked when I was 7.
Lick ice cream and do crimes, and I'm all out of ice cream.
Because 7-year-old Yuno still had a little bit of spunk. I was more extroverted when I was younger. I think I've talked about this before. I was very extroverted in my elementary school years, and then things occurred that made me less extroverted. And then I retreated into myself, and I was like, books are my only friend. Books in my journal are my only friend. That sounds familiar to me, very relatable. Yeah. It's sad that that's such a relatable experience. But no, I vividly remember being very extroverted in, like, particularly, like, early elementary school. I was, like, super extroverted. I was friends with everybody. And I had fun hanging out with people. Well, as much as one can hang out when you are a child and you don't really know what that means. But you get what I mean. But then life became complicated. And a lot of those friendships started to dwindle a little. It be how it do. Blah. There's just so many, like, individual voxels on this one that even though we're only on layer 22, it's still, like, chugging. It could also partially be because I've been running the game for a while, so it could just be starting to, like, explode in its own time, but it's funny to see just how much it's starting to lag. I apologize for the random question, but I'm playing a D&D-esque game, so the thought occurred to me. What race and class do you play in Baldur's Gate 3 and other such games? Well, I've never played Baldur's Gate 3, so I don't really have an answer for that, but I can tell you the one time that I tried to actually play D&D in a campaign with friends, I was a half-elven bard. That is the one time I have made a D&D character and played D&D as a character. That tracks. Thanks. Thanks. How stacked was your character? Not very. She was very weak. I did not roll very strong. She was not very strong. Also, the way that I like made her, she was like kind of on the younger side and like thus like small and very frail. I've told the story of this campaign before, but she literally like got her ass kicked in the first fight that she ever got to partake in, because she was trying to defend the honor of her king, who she was very infatuated with. She was trying to defend the honor of her king against another king, and that king was possessed by a dark being. We never got to figure out what this dark being was because this game never continued after like the second session. But he was possessed by this dark being, and because of that, he, no mercy, like, hit her and like knocked her out of the way. But my armor class and my overall defense were very, very bad, and he one-shot me. Because he was big and strong, and I was a level 1 bard with, like, nothing. And he just smacked her into the fucking oblivion. I died. We did do, like, the roll to resurrect kind of thing, so I did come back, but I had it that, like, she was very traumatized by that happening. So it, like, totally changed her alignment, too. She had previously been... I don't remember what I actually assigned her initially, but she became, like, true neutral for a little bit because she was just, like, fucked up by that happening. Also, her king was kind of disappointed in her afterwards. Like, not necessarily because she was trying to defend him, but he was just disappointed that she resorted to, like, violence because he was really good friends with that other king. And he had, like, expected better from her, so that also kind of really shook her up. Light in her eyes faded. Yeah, it was very... Like, I wanted to interpret it like that because, like, how else would a young elf interpret, like, facing death like that? Like, a person who, like, thinks that they're going to have a longer life, even though she's only a half-elf, suddenly being faced with death so suddenly and so instantaneously. Like, how could you not include that as part of your characterization, I feel? But one of the perks of her being younger, we met a shadow creature, and the shadow creature decided to present as, like, a young girl around my character's age, and they were becoming really good friends, and it was very cute. She was gonna befriend a shadow creature. I'm surprised I remember as much about this campaign as I do, considering it, like, literally didn't happen after that. It was a timing thing. I've explained this before, but the reason that campaign couldn't work out was because our DM was Australian. And it was just really, really hard to get our time to sync up. Everyone was so busy with, like, school or work or other things, and then the time zone issue of her being in Australia was fucking awful. She was also the only one in the group that was in that kind of time zone. Everyone else was in, like, EST, PST range. So she was the only one in, like, a crazy out there time zone. But she was our DM, so couldn't really continue without her. Thought the waifus and husbandos of Baldur's Gate 3 would call to you. I don't know. I've looked at them. I don't think they're that appealing to me. I prefer more anime art styles. I think maybe they're just a little bit too realistic, quote unquote, for me because of, like, how they did all the mocap and stuff. And I know that's something that, like, Baldur's Gate is lauded for currently, like the fact that the characters, like, look and move so realistically with the actors. But I don't know, there's just something about it that, like, none of them really appealed to me aesthetically. None of the characters really seem like someone I would want to romance. Name it Shadow the Hedgehog. I don't remember what we ended up naming her. She had a name, but I can't remember what it was. But we were, like, besties. She was, like, truly sticking with my character for, like, ever. And I remember our DM was just like, I was not expecting this character to end up being this, like, sweet on you. Or for you to, like, attach to her. But the answer was, like, because my character had become, like, true neutral, she was a very calming presence to the Shadow. And so the Shadow girl just really liked her. She liked the vibe. She was like, I like this girl. She's contemplating the meaning of life right now. And I vibe with that. And so they became besties. Gale and Asterion, though? I mean, I get it. I can understand why to some people it would be appealing. Like, the minute Hitomi was forced to play the game with her other friend group, she immediately locked onto Asterion and never let go. Like, I get it. But, I don't know. I look at them and I just don't really see any character I'd want to romance. They seem fine. They seem like nice people. But I don't know if I care about all that. But I've, like, never played a Baldur's Gate game. Like, in general. A lot of people have told me I would probably like Baldur's Gate 3 because I like, text-heavy RPG-type games. And, like, yeah, it probably would appeal to me to some extent. But it's not like a desire that I have had. I've just been like, maybe. Every time someone asks, I'm like, yeah, people have recommended it to me. I haven't picked it up, though. Does anyone know of an anime Borderlands style game? Are you trying to get me to play Borderlands by finding one that's anime aesthetic? Baldur's Gate. Oh, that too. I don't really think there is. I feel like that would have made the rounds in the VTuber community by now, because a lot of people were very enthused about Baldur's Gate 3. Waifu lands. Get me to appreciate the waifus. But yeah, I don't know. I personally haven't heard anything. Metaphor ReFantazio is anime Baldur's Gate 3? Was it? I don't know much about Metaphor, though. I saw, like, a little bit of someone playing through it, like, during the beginning, and then I didn't really, like, follow through with, like, watching the rest of their playthrough. So I don't really know much about what happens. I only know, like, the prologue. It was Persona meets Baldur's Gate 3 thematically? I see. I don't know if thematically is necessarily the same as playstyle, though. Yeah, that's what I assumed you meant too. That's why I was surprised when ReFantazio was brought up. I was like, really? Are you sure? That doesn't sound right. Oh my god, this is the last layer. It'll stop chugging in a second. Oh my god, please. There we go. Never mind, it chugged a little bit there, but it's fine. Yippee! A cannon. Okay, I finished, and I am now 30 minutes past my dinner time, so I should probably leave. Chuggy zoom in. It's chugging a little bit. Like I said, there's a lot of pixels, or there's a lot of voxels per layer here. So I think it just ended up making it very chuggy overall. Also, game's just been running for a bit, so I think it's dying. Closest I can think is maybe Troubleshooter Abandoned Children. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks for the chill stream. Of course. Thank you guys for being willing to chill. I'm gonna be kind of sad when we finish going through these maps and then the game is over. I'm gonna have to figure out something else we can do during a chill Sunday. There's only the one map left too. I guess we're gonna have to finish it next time though. I'm already 30 minutes late. Blit. You know, talking about dinner and I'm in the process of making my own dinner. Yeah. I made plans with Hitomi, though. We're gonna get food. I don't know what we're gonna get yet, but we're planning to order the same thing, so it's like we're eating together. We'll figure it out. But yes, reminder once again, Onimon tomorrow, and then Chrono Trigger Endurance Tuesday. The Chrono Trigger stream will probably be earlier than normal, so that I can try and, like, really lock in. I don't know how much I have left. So in case there is a lot left, I'm planning to start early. If I end up ending early, that's also chill. Maybe I'll do another stream later if that ends up ending like super early. I don't know for sure yet. But that's the plan. Of course, you will know if anything changes, because I'll keep you updated via the Twitter. But yeah, until then, thank you guys so much for choosing to spend time with me. I hope that you have a good rest of your time zone, and until I see you again, Yunotsu!